Stream Elements said, KJ_Freedom is now live, streaming StarCraft 2, FSL Season 6, Day 31.
right?
Yeah, the 2v2 league. I think a lot of people were very interested in that. Just had a lot of fun with it. Being able to just have someone to collaborate with and bounce your ideas off of and be like, we could do this and you can do this and everything, and have someone to talk to in game. I think it helps keep you a little bit, you're calm, you're chill. You have someone just kind of banter with. It helps keep you focused on the game and just having fun and not getting too nervous. So.
All right, well, have fun casting it. You know the players. You've casted them many times.
Yeah,
so
I think we're going to
take care of that.
Yeah, we'll play a little video just to give you a quick introduction to our 4v4 players here.
Yep.
And then we'll be hopping into the game shortly.
Yep. All right. See you guys. What's up, guys? We're going to talk to the FSL people here. Who's playing?
Hello, my name is Little Reaper, and I play Protoss, and I've gotten a Platinum 1.
Nice.
Hey, I'm Chianpone. I play Protoss, and I'm Gold 3. Well, I've achieved Gold 3.
Nice.
Hey, what's up?
Tell me your name, game name, your ranking, what race you play.
I'm Dominic. I'm Deepu. I play everything, and I'm Plat 1, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Hello, I'm Ethan. I go by ET. I play Terran. I'm like Silver 2. So
Nice. Menace, Zerg, Diamond 1. All right.
Hyper Turtle, Platinum Random.
Nice. Tell me your game name, your race, and what level are you?
War Bunnies. I'm a Protoss and low diamond.
Nice.
I am Fenrir. I am a Silver 1 player. I don't know my MMR. I'm a Terran.
Nice. So tell me your name.
Instability.
And what race you play in your ranking.
I'm in Diamond 2 with Protoss, but tonight I'll probably be playing Zerg.
Beautiful.
Hey, I'm Neutrophil. I play random and I'm high diamond.
Nice. And
I'm Chianpone.
oh yeah, we saw you already. There you go. And this is ET. He's gonna be casting.
Howdy.
All right. And that guy is Caliber. He'll be playing later too. And that's our FSL group. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I'm joined here by Kwame Timpo. And we're going to have an exciting match, and one you've not seen before, never before seen on Cheesadelphia's stage. A little bit of a 4v4 action. You're just introduced to the players a little bit there. It's going to be on Concord Alley, and I think they've got some spicy things cooked up for us, Timpo.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit of some trash talking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They don't play nice.
No,
they don't play nice.
These kids these days, I tell you.
Yep, they are just uncouth, unmannered. It's disgusting, really.
But it's beautiful at the same time. Yeah?
Absolutely beautiful.
That competitive spirit, because sometimes you just got to let it all out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it should be a fun time. Just a little show match to kind of show more about the FSL. We do, of course, it takes place every Wednesday and Friday. And seasons run a few months at a time because obviously there's a lot of people interested in playing. So there's a lot of matches to do.
Yeah.
Tons of excitement. Some great storylines as well.
I bet
This
you're
league,
very familiar with them, too.
You can start a season with nothing, and then you're diamond by the end of it, right? Like, there's so much improvement that can be done at this level and so many months to do it over. But that said, we're going to be hopping into game here as we are loading into the map. It's going to be Concord LE as we are here in the bottom left-hand side of the map. We've got our pink Terran player from Psystorm's community team. It is Neutrophil. And his ally, one of the many, the dark gray Zerg player, she is Instability. Ooh. Another teammate, the dark green Protoss player, he is Fenrir from Redstone. And rounding it out, we have the light green Protoss player trying to confuse us. We have War Bunnies from Minnesota Barcraft.
Hey. That's going to be Team ET, okay? And on Team Tempo in the top right, all right, we got here on the right-hand side, give it up for the orange Terran player, E-T-T-T. T to the 4th power. And a little bit above on the red, rocking the red trunks, it is the Terran player, Hyper Turtle, with that Minnesota Barcraft as well. And in the north-hand side, it is our pink Protoss player, D-Poo. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
All right, D-Poo it is. And to round out the most amazing team, obviously, that's playing Team Tempo, it is our yellow Protoss player, Dark Menace.
Yeah, so a lot of players to keep track of. We're going to do team colors to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, I think.
We'll see.
The red versus the blue. That works for me.
All right.
So I can give you a little bit of backstory on some of these players. We have our team captains on each team, Neutrophil and Dark Menace. They're actually KJ's teenage sons.
Yep.
So some pretty talented kids there. Usually vying for that top spot in the Code S bracket, the diamond bracket of the FSL. The only competitor that really gives them a run for their money so far is actually none other than Instability.
I saw her playing yesterday.
Yeah.
She did pretty well, right?
She did decently. I mean, almost. Just needed to win, I think was the big difference there, the key difference. But my little sister, she's climbing up in those ranks as well. A strong Protoss player usually, but playing a little bit of Zerg. Because I think the players are planning on being a little bit aggressive.
Okay.
And she doesn't know how to do that as Protoss.
Oh, well,
hop into the Zerg
I'm sure there's a lot of people here that can help her with that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It is NA StarCraft after all, so I'm sure there's hope galore. DPU and ET, a couple friends as well, and then we made mention of Hyper Turtle and War Bunnies being both in the same Minnesota Barcraft clan. They're good friends as well, and so of course leaped at the chance to be on opposite teams so they could annihilate each other as best they can.
Things are getting a little bit crazy already.
Sarah, what have you done?
Kerrigan, the die is cast. This is the last day. Your swarm darkens the sky of any planet.
Forget Minsk. Forget all of it.
When we are done here, I will return to my people and accept their judgment.
Command, we've found Kerrigan. She's holed up in a Zerg base.
I made my peace long ago.
Consider it done. For ire. Indeed.
Alrighty. All right. We're back now. We're back. FSL is live again. It's been a while. What is up? Can you guys hear me? I think you guys should be able to hear me. Testing 1 2 3. I should be hearable. Is that correct? Audible. Audible is the right thing. All right, so we're live. I think ET is here. Let's go see. There he is.
Hello.
What's up, man? It's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Has been a bit. Glad to be back.
So tonight's gonna be pretty special. I think we got a special. I say that 8 times, 5 times. Match that people have been looking forward to. What do you think that is?
Let's see. I'd have to guess it's Veils versus Dark Menace.
That's right. And we got a bonus match. So one of them I mean, either one is special, actually. I meant both of them, really. So let's take a look at the schedule. We got the Code S match of Dark Menace versus Veils, Dark Menace versus Instability. Because the first one, they were both undefeated.
Oh yeah, true. So, still kind of vying for the top spot a little bit there. Be interesting to see who comes out on top.
That's right, and we should just talk to them. Let's just ask them some questions. Let's start with Dark Menace versus Veils first. So let's bring him in.
Nope, I don't see Dark Menace. I see Veils.
There he is. Alright, we got Dark Menace and Veils on here. Gentlemen, much anticipated undefeated match this late in the season.
Yeah, quite the match indeed. I gotta ask, so Veils, you've obviously had a very, very strong first season, but from what I'm looking at here, Dark Menace is the only Zerg. There's a couple randoms, but he's the only Zerg main in the Code S. So how do you feel about that matchup? Obviously, we've seen your other two matchups reasonably often at this point, but how do you feel about the TVZ matchup?
I feel pretty strong in TVZ. I think it used to be my best matchup, so it'll be interesting to see what style of play Dark Menace is going to play today.
All right, perfect. And Dark Menace, obviously, you're also undefeated at the moment, but we've seen Veils take down both Instability and Neutrophil, who are kind of the other two big names in the Code S in prior seasons. So how are you feeling about this match tonight?
I don't know. I'm not like not confident, but I'm not overconfident. So.
All right, fair enough. KJ, did you have any questions for our players?
Sure. How much have you guys scouted each other? Let's start with you, Veils.
I watched the series versus Ghost Chant again, like the last 2
right.
hours, twice. So
yeah, those games.
If he plays that style, I think I'll wreck him, but we'll see.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Did you get a chance, Dark Menace, to study Veil's style at least?
Yeah, I watched some, like most of his games actually, but like he doesn't really play Zerg, so I can't really scout much.
Oh, that's true. He hasn't played a Zerg, so what can you scout on that? That's true. All right, but you know it's bio is likely, although mech is on the table. Well, anyway, guys, I don't have any other questions. ET, we good to go?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, when Veils pulls out his TVP3 Rax build, Dark Menace will be completely ready for it. So excited to see that.
That's right, some proxies. Who knows what's going to happen here. So, well, good luck to you, gentlemen. We'll get our production all set up and all that, and we'll see you on the other side. So hop on to the other channels.
Good luck, good luck.
All right, ET, what do you really think?
It's really hard to say because obviously Veils, relative to, I mean, Dark Menace has obviously lost series to both Neutrophil and Instability, and Veils kind of wrecked Neutrophil and Instability.
Yeah.
But it's also a whole different beast that we haven't seen Veils have to deal with. So, and I feel like Dark Menace has had a pretty strong, like, he struggles against Protoss the most, I think, and he's pretty strong against Terran. So I think he should be in a good spot, but I'd probably still go Veils 2-1, just because knowing how the rest of, like, you know, Neutrophil and Instability were, I doubt he's practiced that much, and Veils has practiced a lot. So I'd have to give him the 2-1.
That's true. And then actually on the chat here is Ghost Chant. We can also play your game versus Mizel if Mizel's ready. Now we can just knock this out because we actually are so close to finishing the season, guys. We might as well try our best. We can probably take a quick peek of what the FSL schedule looks like real quick before we hop onto these games. You can see there. What's that? 5 broadcasts left, including ours.
5 left. Yep.
Yeah, so
and some
very,
of those
very
broadcasts
close.
are only like 2 matches or so. So
yeah, we can probably compress that, especially some people are going on vacation. So, Ghost Chant, if you can, hop on. We'd love to have you play. And Mizel, I think you're watching, so hop on too. But we'll start off with the Dark Menace games, Veils first, and then after that would likely be Instability. We'll save one of the Code S for later, so you have a little bit of time. Anyway, back to here. Let's look at the map selections for these guys, and then we'll load up the games here.
yeah, it looks like obviously we are still on the older map pool, so we do have Data C for the first map, followed up by Tropical Sacrifice and then Cosmic Sapphire. So interesting map selections for sure.
Yeah, if you're Europe, I think to East Coast the lag is not too terrible, at least on the East Coast. So it's Korea that's bad. Korea to Europe and Korea to here, East Coast. All right, well,
yeah, nothing too bad.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, we just got to get the game set up, and then we'll see. I'm pretty excited about this because we haven't seen Veils in this type of matchup yet, and TVZ obviously I'd say is the matchup of StarCraft 2 over the years.
Yeah, he said this though, which caught my ear. He said, "If he plays the same style, I will wreck him." So I was like, that is confidence, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of confidence. Or it could be trying to get your opponent to not play that style. Some kind of mind game there. I don't think I caught the games versus Ghost Chant, so I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to there, but I guess we'll see.
Well, it was a thing where Dark Menace really missed, the timings, where Ghost Chant could have ran him over, but Ghost Chant waited, and the Banelings were late. It was Bio Ling Bane, normal stuff, so...
Okay,
that's what it was. And yeah, Dark Menace did not look good in that game. He was not sharp, but he still won. So that's probably what he's referring to.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, Veils, obviously, we've seen has that he's very aggressive, at least in the other matchups. So if there is an opportunity to kill someone, he's probably going to find it. So Dark Menace will have to be on top of that in this series.
All right, here you go.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
All right, we are hopping into game here on Data C. Is here in the bottom left-hand side of the map. We have the pink Zerg player. He is
Dark Menace.
And his opponent in the upper right, the red Terran player, all the way from Europe, he is
Veils.
Alrighty. So, yeah, TVZ, like I said, it's kind of the staple matchup of StarCraft 2 over the years. A lot of the most iconic moments, like obviously like Scarlet versus Bomber and things like that, all occurred in this matchup. So, should be an exciting one. So you have the quick expansion coming out of Dark Menace and that normal barracks timing from Veils. So nothing super surprising coming out here. Now this map has a lot of good tank positions for pushes outside the 3rd and 4th bases, and it's also very defensible. So there's a lot that you can get done on this map as an aggressive Terran, which Veils is in other matchups at least. So we'll see how they perform here. As Dark Menace going for pool, then gas, so slightly off meta opening, but completely fine, of course. But yeah, it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen here, as at least for Veil's side of things, it's pretty undefined. At the same time, there's only so much that you can do as a Terran against Zerg, and it's pretty much just bio. Mech is technically an option, but most players do not opt to go for that. So you do have the command center dropping down on the low ground, and that hatchery will be finishing up soon. Active Overlord Scout coming across, as Dark Menace even checked for some proxy barracks with his Overlord. The second one, although I would say I feel like the most common spot they put proxy barracks is the minerals there that he flew right over. So would have missed those if he had been proxied. Still, no big deal, as we do have the third base coming down very quickly. So he's going for an extremely quick 25 supply. Third base, he actually made the base and then made his set of lings, although he's not making 2 sets of lings, which against someone like Vales is a little bit dangerous. But the queens are early. I guess this is part of that pool then gas build. Your queens are able to be slightly sooner or slightly faster. Does do a quick extractor trick and has a couple lings, so should not get any drone kills here. As he's actually trapped himself a little bit, and Vales does lose the Reaper there, so pretty cute move out of Dark Menace. Will he forget to cancel? No, okay, good. That is something I have often done in the early game. You know, you wind up with an extra little sport crawler, a happy accident. In those kinds of situations, mainly with like adepts and oracles, because you're just so freaking busy on like 3 different locations on the map, and then you forget about it, but that's okay. Do have the double Hellion production coming out. Starts a reactor, and then no, starts a tech lab, then switches to a reactor. That's very interesting. I don't feel like that's something you typically see. As, oh my goodness, Dark Menace manages to just, well, I was going to say make it all the way in, but then he runs back out. Does get a free SCV, sees pretty much all the tech, damages another SCV, and forces out some mining time loss from Vales. So very nice scout out of Dark Menace there, and that's what losing that Reaper kind of allows. And the thing that's so punishing about losing that Reaper as well is the fact that Dark Menace under-defended. He only made 1 set of lings, whereas the standard is to make 4. So he undermade lings and then still killed the Reaper, and then also went across and killed an SCV with the lings. So that was like a very, very, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, it's not that important, but it's still a very nice start, and it's probably a very nice feeling to have as Dark Menace as well, right? You're, you know, you're feeling good off the back of that, and that can help you play a little bit cleaner throughout the rest of the series, as we do have, interestingly, a Roach Warren and a Baneling Nest coming out, which is not something you see all too often, as it is Hellion production, double Marine production, and I saw a Liberator coming in there as well. Looks like it's going to go across the map and head to the main base of Dark Menace. Narrowly dodges that Overlord. So, maybe able to get some damage done with that. Just 3 Roaches, though. I guess the 3 Ravager squad. This feels like maybe a safety play in case they're going for Hellbats, because that would hit about this timing. And then you have 3 Roaches, that shuts it down pretty hard, so Dark Menace does pull away. Will lose a drone, but now getting ready to deal with those Hellions, and indeed will deal with them quite nicely. Those Lings running a little bit too far forward, may end up losing them. As it does lose one, does some good damage to the Hellion. The Liberator repositioning into the natural base of Dark Menace, who does pull his drones at an apt timing. Unfortunately, there's not a queen there, so it's actually going to take quite a while for that to get cleaned up. And very low on drone production. I mean, Dark Menace is making a lot of units here. This almost reads like he's going to all in off the back of this with the amount of units that he's making here. As he's really only at 2 base saturation right now, and he's got, I mean, he's making upgrades, he's making another evolution chamber, but I mean, this is just, you should have like 50 or 60 drones at this point, easy peasy. He's way overmade units in response to what Vales did, and he's going to run in and lose every Ling now. Eesh. Yeah, loses a lot of Lings now, so definitely getting a little bit sloppier now making drones, but those are several minutes late, basically. We do have 1/1 Bane speed coming on the way, so nothing too bad. Vales has 2 empty medevacs flying out, so I think that's not purposeful because they're flying the exact way that the Liberator flew. So I think he just forgot to set his medevac rally, but does catch those in time, so nothing too bad. Dark Menace did scout the 3rd command center being made for Vales, of course, so it does know that's coming. Will have 1/1 and Baneling speed to deal with the first couple medevacs, I would imagine. And does have a 4th base down now as well. Still pretty low on the drone count, though. You'd really like to be at like 80 at 7 minutes, especially because he took so little damage. Although I guess part of the reason he took so little damage is because he invested so heavily into units, although I don't think the units actually did that much. The 3 Roaches alone basically stopped the Hellions in their tracks. Good creep spread out of Dark Menace. Very good creep spread indeed. Looking pretty strong there. And Banelings already finished up. Hellions are coming in, looking for some damage, as we do have a deep push onto the creep, so Dark Menace very well aware that this is happening. No scans coming down is a little surprising. Okay, finally does scan. I guess he's just going to clear creep up on the way out. But if he doesn't get that tumor to the north, that's going to be kind of a... feels bad. Yeah, that does feel bad. The creep spread won't actually be negated that heavily by that, and a big mine hit on his own units for Veils, who gets his whole force cleaned up, and that was an excellent fight out of Dark Menace there. That went extremely well for him. Gotta be feeling pretty good about that one. Would really like to see him respread the creep while it's still receding, but still nothing too bad. Does clean up the Widow Mine as well. 2-2 now on the way as the 1-1 is finishing up for the Terran player. 62 workers to 59 though, right? So a good trade overall. I mean, it's 1,700 resources lost for the Zerg to 2,000 for the Terran. So that's fairly good. However, that's not off the back of an 80 drone economy. It's off the back of a 70-ish drone economy. But if you're even, or relatively even in workers with the Terran player, well, the Terran player has mules. So they're actually probably in a fine spot. Now, granted, Veils is having to use a lot of his energy on scans and not mules, so that does help. And more Banelings now coming in. A lot of Marauders very quickly in response to the amount of roaches he's seen, I'd imagine. Splits the roaches very quickly there, does Dark Menace. And not having an armory here is a little bit of just a... You may as well, right? I mean, there's no reason not to have an armory at this point. You're going to need it for 2-2 eventually, which you already need it for 2-2, I guess. But on top of that, all of his mines are getting cleaned up for free because once they shoot, they're exposed. That said, Dark Menace, he doesn't have a macro hatch, does he? I haven't even looked yet, but I can basically guarantee you there's no macro hatchery in this game right now because he's floating almost 3,000 minerals and 1,000 gas, but he's not even on like a huge 90 drone economy. He's only on 70 drones and he's floating that much money. He should have another macro hatchery in his main base. And there it goes. Quick tip for you, ladies and gentlemen. You generally want to drop a macro hatch at the same time you take your 4th base, because once your 4th base gets mining, you're going to need one. Unless you have like perfect injects, but nobody has perfect injects. Even Cyril makes macro hatcheries. So, anyways, I think he's stabilized nonetheless. He's getting 2-2, nearly finished up at this point. His creep spread is solid, and he's taking a double expand to each side. So whichever way Veils pushes in, he'll be able to deal with. Setting up a surround even of just a few lings to kind of grab the Marines if they can. Not quite able to, as Veils does pull back with his Marines, leaves the Marauders. The Marauders will get cleaned up by the lings if they're not actually supported with the Marines behind them. That said, though, it's a pretty good fight for Veils, as it's 70 army supply to 44. It really should be even if that macro hatchery was done a little bit earlier, but as it is now, Veils looking to be in a pretty strong spot. Big Bane hit, though. That is very nice. That kind of evens things out. As you can see, now it's 70 army supply to 50, so slowly catching up is Dark Menace, but definitely could be hitting his macro a little bit better if he had that macro hatch. That said, a very good surround out of the lings there. 2-2 is now finished up, and not finished up for the Terran, which means these lings and Banelings are trading far, far better than they were before with the initial start of that fight. Now, Dark Menace should see this and retreat, and indeed he do. Will pull back now, continuing to make Banelings. The Roach tech is a little bit questionable, but he's now swapping into Mutas, which is very good. That's a much better tech tree to pursue. And should be able to get a lot done as 15 Mutalisks being built. That's how you spend that bank. Intentional bank, ladies and gentlemen. Intentional. All right, and we are even on supply on each end, as there's a little bit of a Baneling run by. Not really sure what to go for. It's just a few Marines as long-distance mining SCVs. Does indicate the 4th base is going to be taken, but now the Mutalisks are coming out across the map, heading to the main base of Veils, and with a lot of potential for damage in that army. Now, he's going for a little bit of the DRG style, so to speak, where you don't make a hive. You just go 2-2 Lingbane Muta all day, every day. Very few people can pull this off. Half the time, DRG can't even pull it off. As it is, 2 anti-air turrets in the main base, despite no mutas, 2 anti-air turrets in the natural as well. I guess Veils was just playing this incredibly safe for no particular reason. As the mutas may be keeping him busy, though. Nope, does pull back very nicely. And Dark Menace not able to get anything done with those Mutalisks. That's very unfortunate. Veils just heavily preparing for that. And holy cow, yeah, that's kind of crazy. 2 turrets in the main and the natural base. Just waiting for the mutas there. And with that, Veils has run through the army of Dark Menace. As, wow, we'll be able to just push through and win the game cleanly from there. Muta's trying to get some stuff done, but nothing's going to be accomplished here. The army for the Terran is just too big. And I think it really comes down to that macro hatch. Dark Menace, I mean, look at his bank, you know. If we did an extra 2,000, he could have been maxed out for that fight. Was not instead. And Veils is kind of running away with it because of that. Dark Menace does his best, does get a big Baneling hit, but just not going to be enough. GG is called. All right, well, Veils does take game 1, which means we'll be heading directly into game number 2 on Tropical Sacrifice. Man, it was a very even game right up until it wasn't, but, I mean, the signs were there. Dark Menace had good upgrades, but his macro wasn't quite there. He didn't get the macro hatch until very late. I think he was missing injects a good bit as well, which... guilty also of that at many times, so can't blame him too much, but still, I think could have been a little bit cleaner there for sure. That said, we are getting ready to load into game number 2, and that definitely is the kind of thing that makes you go, yeah, I could see Dark Menace winning this whole series. It could happen, you know? Absolutely. Will it happen? Maybe. Maybe. Probably not maybe. Oh, wait, race check. Never mind, he fixed it. Okay, good. We almost had a TVT on our hands. All right, we will be loading into Tropical Sacrifice for game number 2. Here we go.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
In the upper right-hand side of Tropical Sacrifice LE, we have the blue Terran player from Platinum Heroes. It is and in the bottom left, in the pink, he is
Dark Menace.
all right. So, Tropical Sacrifice, a little bit bigger of a map, I'd say. Wider chokes, things like that. So, can help as a Zerg to be able to win fights, of course. But, definitely not like a super Zerg favored map, I wouldn't say. You do have a fairly defensible third base as Terran. And still some good pushing spots. So, nice chokes here and there. Things to work with if you look for them. Now, Veils, of course, like I said, did take the edge there. Just cleaner macro overall. Dark Menace didn't really hit his macro cycles the way you'd really kind of want to. Largely because he just didn't make the buildings, right? And this is something we've seen from many a Code S player. Instability is a good example of this. She's fixed it for the most part, but there were times where she'd be on like 5 bases and 4 gateways and be floating like 4,000 minerals because She had more bases than she had gateways. So it happens even at this level. Definitely something that could be cleaned up a little bit. Just hit that timing of 4th base, macro hatch, 4th base, macro hatch, things like that. And even just making those workers a little bit faster. Obviously, like we said, he did stagnate a little bit around 50 workers, and then I think he only went up to like 70 at the end of the day. And I believe if you're going for Mutalisk, Ling Bane in particular, you want more like 85, 90, something like that. So definitely a little low on economy, but I don't think that's what killed him at all. Now in comes the Reaper, making only 2 Lings again, is Dark Menace, getting that drone to safety. As another drone is moving out as well, and I gotta be a little careful here. Does Extractor trick it very nicely. And Veils is playing a dangerous game. An NA Terran, if ever I've seen one. As except he's EU, so never mind, I guess. But holy cow, if that queen had not been planting that creep tumor, that Reaper would be dead. But it was, so I guess it's okay. Now I do see here double creep tumor, which is kind of neat. I think he hit a supply block that he wasn't intending to hit, so maybe that's a reaction to that, because you're not going to have the supply available to spend the inject when it comes out. But it's making up to 4 queens now. As we do see the double Hellion production going to be coming in. So Veil's going for a pretty similar looking build overall to what he did last time. But this time he kept the Reaper alive and didn't lose an SCV on his side of the map. So even a little bit better of an opening than he had previously. Ling speed will finish up shortly. As the Hellions are hunting for the Lings. And away they run.
Add-on complete.
More and more queens coming in. The creep spread continuing to move about. As we do have that tech lab on the starport. So maybe Banshee this time instead of Liberator? Yes, indeed. It's a little bit of a switch up. Cloaked Banshees instead. As maybe spotting out that Dark Menace didn't really scout what air unit was coming or something like that. Didn't have any Spore Crawlers when the Liberator came in notably. So maybe thinking, well, seems like Banshee would do well if you don't have Spore Crawlers. However, there is a quick lair and a Baneling nest coming in for Dark Menace. Veils tries to do a bit of a drive-by. Gets away with it pretty much scot-free because Dark Menace did not target the Hellions with the Queen. So the Queen auto-targeted onto the Reaper, which will, of course, naturally heal that HP back up. This Veils just tends to rally everything all together, it looks like. I mean, he's sending Marines out. He's sending everything. Oh, man. The Ling technically scouts the Banshee. Is that something that's actually seen by Dark Menace, though? Or is it just something that happened past like a ship in the night? If a Banshee kills a Ling in a forest and no one's there to see it, did you really scout it? Or something like that. I don't know. Do we have an armory? This really feels like he thinks he's making an armory. He's got his Marines on this side of the map. The Banshee is with his Marines and Hellions, but he doesn't have an armory, so I don't know. I don't know. I guess he's just doing a frontal push. Cloak up on the Banshee. No Overseer just yet. Being morphed. Would definitely like to see one of those in the near future. As the Baneling does get shot down, but actually does splash onto... Oh, there we go. Double Overseer now coming in. So, I think a fairly solid defense out of Dark Menace. Didn't really lose any creep spread. Did have to make a lot of Lings to defend like that. But now, slamming back down onto that drone key. Should see a 4th base very soon, I hope. As the 3rd base is finished up for Veils. Overlord speed on the way, +1 melee and that Baneling speed. Oh, never mind, there is a 4th base. Wow, he took that 4th base. That is very far away from the rest of your stuff. I'd really like to see the Queens up there spreading more creep tumors. Only 1 creep tumor heading in that direction means the creep spread is going to be abysmal to deal with Terran pushes on the north side. Wow, I am very surprised he took that base and not the one to the lower right. But maybe it'll work out. We'll see. Veils is going into a 4th base now himself, adding on his 2nd factory and making +1 ranged as well. Small note for Dark Menace as well, if you're watching this back. He's making melee and not armor. You want to prioritize armor over melee against bio because the banelings are going to two-shot the Marines no matter how many upgrades they have for attack. But the Marines are going to take more shots to kill banelings and lings if they have armor. Now, that's that cheeky little overlord sees the siege tank, and he's like, actually, let us not go to Camelot, for it is a silly place. And the banelings run home instead. +1/+1 now on the way for both players. Stem very late, but on the way for Veils as well. And if this is something Dark Menace knew about, then like you're just hitting the drone key and going to 90 drones. If you don't even have Stem for the next, what is it, 114 seconds for researching Stem? I don't know. It's a long time. If you don't have it for like a minute or two, at this point in the game, bro, that's like so much time and opportunity. But Dark Menace doesn't know that. He's not certain, because there's no way to really know that. I mean, it's like you see the tech lab researching. Maybe that's combat shields. Maybe it's concussive shells, you know? You don't know. So it's very hard to know that. But he is making a lot of units that he's not going to need for another 3 or 4 minutes. And only going up to 70. There we go, 75. That's better. Yeah, even more. Okay, good. If he goes up to like 80-ish workers, that's very good. Now we see triple Widow memes coming in at a time. Do we have Drilling Claws started? We do not have Drilling Claws. Really would like to see Drilling Claws sooner rather than later. It's +2 melees on the way for the Zerg. Hydra's coming in as well as their upgrades. And a 5th base now finished up as well. 81 workers, much better position economically for Dark Menace. At the same time, his upgrades aren't farther ahead by much, really, than Veils is. So that aspect he doesn't have from the previous game. And you can see he's expecting an attack soon, as here it does finally come. Veils finally coming in. Stem finishing up at 9 minutes into the game is kind of wild. Let me just put it that way. As we should see an all-out assault now. Yes, okay, excellent. Excellent engagement. Oh my gosh! Decimating the Terran forces up 40, 50 supply after that fight. Holy cow. And will push across the map and potentially just win it all now. As should be a big Widow Mine hit of sorts. Yeah, sizable Widow Mine hit. Holy cannoli, that was insane. Such a great surround, and that's the problem with Veils' engagements I'm seeing in TVZ. He did in the previous game, but Dark Menace just didn't have enough army to really make that matter. But in the previous game, Veils did that exact same thing where he just walked all the way onto the creep, didn't kill the creep tumors or anything, and then started sieging his units up. Well, any good Zerg is then going to know exactly where your army is and position a perfect surround if they have the units for it, which obviously in the previous game he didn't, but in this game he absolutely did. And Dark Menace with a fantastic engagement now is in an excellent position, should be able to close out this game. He's doing a little bit of the Zerg move, the Zerg gamer move, where you just continue streaming your units across the map and slowly the Terran pushes you back, but still he's so far up I don't know that it matters. 41 workers to 90, as should see him morph some Banelings though for sure, or just run home and regroup, max out, and stomp that boy. But very well done out of Dark Menace. That was an excellent engagement, disgustingly well set up, and dang. And behind that, I mean, it seems like Dark Menace is really kind of warming up a little bit in the second game, as we've already got Hive done. We never started +2 armor, so actually that's a little bad. But Lurker Den on the way, Adrenal Glands on the way, keeping his money lower, not as low as it probably could be, but lower, which is good. And still up 60 supply on Veils is a pretty nice feeling for him here, but really, we should not be letting that 4th base live. No reason to. Make a bunch of Banelings, go kill it, knock him back to 3 bases, you know? That's how Veils gets back into this game, is if you just let him have 4 or 5 bases for free. Like, why are we doing that? We're up 50 supply, you know? And we are coming across the map, so it seems Dark Menace feels somewhat similar to me. Veils, I don't think you know your position in this game if you're moving across the map, my boy. We'll clean up. There does Dark Menace, so that's pretty nice. Actually, this could be a bad engagement for Dark Menace very soon if he's not careful. Yeah, should pull back. And a good fight for Veils there for sure. The Banelings do get picked off here, there, and everywhere. But once we get Lurker upgrades coming in, that'll be pretty good. And the big saving grace here for Dark Menace, on top of the fact that he's winning the game, but the thing that's making him win the game even more is the fact that Vales never started 2-2 until way late. So even though he forgot his +2 armor, Vales doesn't have 2-2. If Vales had 2-2, this might even be a winning position for Vales. As it is, by the time Vales' 2-2 is done, it should be 2-3 for Dark Menace with Adrenal Glands, with Lurkers, and that's a pretty good feeling as Dark Menace. Now, the little bit of an odd thing is making one Lurker. Make more Lurkers. One Lurker is not enough. Uh-oh. Those 10 Lurker morphs going to be found by Vales. Yeah, cancel those. Okay. Vales' bio is running very far away from his tanks, but does have a nice little choke point to retreat back into here. And, okay, Dark Menace now going to try and get a little bit of surround. He did start killing the rocks, but a little bit late to the party on that, I would say. Man, if those 10 Lurkers were already finished up, this fight would be not even close. Okay, 7 Lurkers now on the way. And with a lot of Banelings, there's not really much of a way for Vales to push into this. He has evened up the supply. I mean, if he wins this, that'll be quite the comeback. As Hive Tech against 2-2, you know. +3 melee going to be finishing up shortly as well. Yeah, well, Dark Menace, though, is starting to, like, hunker down. He still thinks that Vales is there, which is a reasonable assumption. Vales is very aggressive. Vales, though, he's trying to make his way around, but Dark Menace will accidentally scout that, it looks like, with a run-by that he was trying to do. So we'll see that a little bit in advance. Oh, but Dark Menace, like, isn't reacting to it at all. At the same time, Adrenalings will do a lot. Oh, and Dark Menace is bringing his whole army, except the Lurkers, the most important component of his army, are not coming with, which means, yikes, basically. The translation for that, the rough translation is yikes. Still, though, 17 workers killed on the other side of the map, make that 18. Very nice for Dark Menace indeed. And we'll be able to clean up Liberator, maybe? Not quite. Liberator should fly home. As do the tanks. Well, they don't fly, but, you know, metaphorically. Now, yeah, Dark Menace does not have his Lurker upgrades, I don't think. Yeah, no. He really should have Lurker upgrades at this point in the game. Like, you got Hive forever ago. You got Adrenal Glands, you know. I think he meant to burrow the Lurkers originally there, but I thought we were going to see some cool Bane Bombs, but instead just swaps them out for the Lurkers, which makes sense, you know. If you have to have either your Banelings or your Lurkers burrowed, I would say having the Lurkers burrowed is probably the better choice. Now going to kind of slow push it a little bit. Big splash coming in from the Lurkers as well. Vales is doing his best. Dark Menace has noticed he doesn't have the upgrades, and he's starting to get those, so I do like that. Ooh. Dark Menace slow pushing the Lurkers in. Maybe even more some extra Lurkers, to be honest. Trying to get vision of what's going on back there for Vales with some changelings. I like that move indeed. And even going to try and send some Banelings over to the third base for Vales. Good siege up position out of those Lurkers. Once Screw Spines finishes up, or Seismic Spines, they'll be able to hit the Planetary, all 3 of those Lurkers over there, I believe. And Liberator does siege up, but there is a Hydra there. Will he actually clean it up? Yes, indeed he will. Okay, good. So yeah, now under threat is the Planetary, and Vales doesn't really have stuff to break this just yet. He's making Liberators, which is a smart choice here, but does not have Liberator range upgraded, I don't believe. And now the Liberators do come in, starting to fry away at those Hydralisks. Hydras will get cleaned up, but the 4th base gets cleaned up, actually. Wowee! These Lurkers are just not dying. And the Liberator slowly picking away, but another excellent fight for Dark Menace should put him in yet again a winning position. One would hope. Oh, okay. Banelings a little unfortunate there, but Dark Menace still maxed out against only 90 supply for Vales. 21 more Hydras on the way. Not making any Vipers, the best possible unit you could make against Liberators, because who needs those? Very bad mining saturation for Dark Menace, I will say. Could definitely see some improvements there. But still, I mean, he's got. I mean, man, you could have a 12K bank instead of an 8K bank if you'd split your extra workers better, man. Now, the army of Veils is sizable. Don't get me wrong. It is 70 army supply, but it is up against 110 army supply for his opponent. If those Liberators, or not Liberators, but if the Hydras, Lurkers, and all that finish up and get sieged, then I think Dark Menace is going to be in a pretty excellent position. Now, that is a lot of libs. Got freedom is the question of the day. As in comes the rest of the Zerg army, though, and I don't think the libs matter that much, because they'll just go kill your stuff, you know? It's like, okay, siege up on my buildings. Cool. Oh, man. Even loses like half the libs there. Very unfortunate for Veils. Quick siege up there, not working out. As is rebuilding his 4th base. Got it set back up in mining, but only 20 workers to his name there. And the Hydras even make it in behind the Liberators. We'll be able to take those out pretty quickly as well. Even making +1 range for those Hydras. And GG, well played, is called. So, it's tied 1-1. Is that's not Veils' first map loss, right? Maybe not. That might be Veils' first map loss, actually. Veils. Yeah, I'm not seeing that he lost a map yet until just now. So, good job, Dark Menace. If that is the case, as we will head into Cosmic Sapphire to decide the series, but still, yeah, I mean, a lot of that did come down to just the most disgustingly good fight any Zerg has ever had against the Terran. I mean, that was just insane. But at the same time, I think Dark Menace played it pretty well from there as well. Did forget upgrades here and there. You know, messed up a fight maybe here and there, but I think very well done overall by Dark Menace. But still, it's a little worrying because, well, but at the same time, it's not like Veils made a one-time mistake. Veils has consistently done engagements like that. Where he walks all the way onto the creep, like deep onto the creep, and then starts sieging up and setting up and clearing the creep and stuff. And it's like, you're supposed to kind of scan and then go onto the creep. Because the way he's doing it does allow for that kind of setup out of Dark Menace there. So, if he does that again and Dark Menace gets another disgusting fight, I could definitely see Dark Menace taking this 2-1. But I think overall, Veils has shown himself to be a little bit stronger thus far. If you don't just walk directly into the middle of enemy lines and say, come at me, you know? So we'll have to see. Because at the same time, you know, he kind of hit that timing pretty late. Dark Menace had been preparing. So anyways, we'll see. Alrighty, in the top left-hand corner, Cosmic Sapphire, we have the pink Zerg player tying it up 1-1. It is
Dark Menace.
And his opponent in the red, looking to keep his undefeated streak against the man who also has an undefeated streak. He is
Veils.
All right. So, yeah, this is the battle of the Titans, really. It's funny because this is if Dark Menace wins here, then this is just the whole top level of FSL being kind of rock, paper, scissors continuing, where previously it was Instability beats Dark Menace, who beats Neutrophil, who beats Instability. But then you have Veils getting added in there now, who beats Dark Menace, or beats Instability and Neutrophil, but loses to Dark Menace, who loses to Instability but beats neutrophil and so on and so forth. And the cycle continues. It doesn't work quite as nicely as the nice little triangle we had before, but, you know, what can you do? Or Veils will just win. Veils will continue winning probably throughout the rest of the season and the playoffs if he wins here. And will look very, 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 very tough to beat going into the final match. Now, we do have 3 barracks coming in. You know what I said? I said when Veils pulls out that TVP 3 racks build, Dark Menace ain't going to be ready for it. And look, lo and behold, I'm a prophet. It's a 3 racks build. It might even be a 4 racks build. I don't know. This is not something you see very often. Now, the main problem with these kinds of builds where you rely on not getting scouted by hiding behind a wall off is Zerg flies. Overlords don't care about a wall off, so they can kind of scout right into your base. If they go in and they say, there's no command center on the low ground, they're probably going to go in and investigate why. Now, that may not be the case. Dark Menace might not do that, but it's relatively likely that he will. And at the same time, it's 3 racks Reaper. I apologize. That's different. I will say, not the cleanest execution of a 3 racks Reaper, because with 3 racks Reaper, you want 2 of the barracks at least to be on the low ground as a sort of a wall for your natural, because if they get out enough speedlings, I do like this build because Dark Menace only makes 2 lings. Oh, but he's making a spine. Dark Menace, he's too smart, he's too handsome. He says, you don't have a command center on the low ground? Spine crawler.
Is under attack.
I love that for him. And the Reaper's chipping away at the 3rd base. That's you can chip away at the 3rd base all day. I don't think Dark Menace cares one bit. He makes a Roach Warren very quickly. He's making an extra spine. He's like, yeah, I ain't dying to this, my guy. Ling speed on the way. But I do like, in theory, what Veils is doing here, because Dark Menace has played pretty greedily in the early game. Very quick 3rd base. Only 2 lings, stuff like that, you know, so that's not too bad. Veils, the main problem here is you need to do more than just kill a couple drones, as we're 12 seconds out from Metabolic Boost. There's a lot of Reapers, but once Metabolic Boost finishes up, or we get some Ravagers or Roaches out, you know, things are going to start looking worse and worse for Veils, who, standing and fighting, I'm not the biggest fan of, and good target fire. Oh, good target fire out of Dark Menace. Even if he gets the Queen here, I think this is still a pretty good trade for Dark Menace overall. Who needs to make more Queens, by the way. Queen's good unit. But yeah, I mean, behind this Command Center only just now starting. How are you ever going to take the Command Center on the low ground? I mean, there's going to be Roaches out. There's going to be Speedlings out. You don't have a natural wall off. I don't know. It just seems a little ill-advised. It feels like this could be the kind of thing where Dark Menace just moves across the map and kills you. 3rd base is going to start up as well for Veils, so there is that. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is a pretty good hold for Dark Menace thus far. Okay, tank is on the way. I do like that. That'll help defend a natural base. But at the same time, if there's Ravagers out, it'll only help so much. Now, Dark Menace needs to start droning. Once you have out like 4 or 5 Ravagers, unless you just see like 20 Reapers, drone, you know, although he's supply blocked, so that's probably why. Heavily supply blocked, even, one could say. Reaper's coming up into the main base. I do like the positioning on that one Overlord for that. Needs to pull his drones away, but he's not gonna do it. Okay, the Reaper's hiding in a corner. And, you know, I stand corrected. Apparently, Dark Menace needed to make more Roaches, not more workers. I don't know, man. What am I supposed to say? Still, though, this is an expensive trade for both sides, but, you know, not just for Dark Menace is the important thing to note here. Why aren't you running your workers? Oh, no. Okay, we'll run the workers away. Queen trying to help out here. 2 more Roaches trying to help out here. Never mind, Veils is in a really good position because Dark Menace hit that big supply block. You need to make Ravagers is a big thing because Ravagers outrange Reapers. So if you get like 4 Ravagers, then you can kind of kite the Reapers a little bit and they can't just stand there and fight you like they did there. That said, though, the natural base is still not landed for Veils, and he may have a little bit of a hard time landing it as we are having a lot of drones being made. And Dark Menace does see what's going on here. We'll pull back. I do worry with that first bio push when it comes out. That's going to be scary for Dark Menace here. Overall, Dark Menace had a good defense, but a couple things to note. Spine Crawler positioning in the main base. Really bad. It was not protecting the top side of the base, and after the first time Veils doesn't go there and goes to the top side of the base, you know, fine. You just mispositioned it. The second time it happens and you still didn't move your spine to account for that, that's a little bit sloppy. It should have been like in the mineral line. You're not really worried about the Reapers shooting the hatchery. You're worried about them shooting the drones, right? So if that had been there, those Reapers would have never been able to stand and fight there. Or, well, they could have, but they would have died. And the positioning in the natural base of the Spine Crawler wasn't great either. It was also way up towards the front instead of a little bit further back, protecting the important stuff. So that wasn't great. Hitting supply blocks, also not great. Yeah, just stuff like that. But obviously, you don't run into this kind of build terribly often on the ladder anymore. So the fact that he was able to defend it as well as he did, still got to give him pretty good props. He reacted very quickly and very well to what he scouted with his Overlord. So, big ups. Fourth base coming in. Baneling speed already started. I love that. Knows that there's probably going to be a big bio push coming in with tanks. And that is obviously a big concern. Now, did Veils make a fourth base, or did he just float his natural command center down? Okay, he floated the command center he made in the main base to be his third base down to the natural, morphed it into an orbital, and then flew it to the third. So, do with that what you will. Out comes Veils across the map. Dark Menace. Oh, he's just given up this base. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the creep spread's not there, I guess. Stuff like that, so... Hasn't really been spreading it much. Baneling speed isn't done. And he does have another base he can retreat to, so I guess he's just going to try and do that. Would like to see those Roaches get morphed into Ravagers. Right now they are just dead weight, whereas Ravagers, they could be pretty useful, actually. So, Dark Menace, he's not going to come from that direction, my guy. He's going to come from the other direction. The scary direction. Yeah, I think Veils just had it a little bit cleaner follow-up. Dark Menace, 8 seconds to Baneling speed. T-minus. Alright, anyways. Here comes Baneling speed. I don't think it's going to be enough. Maybe. I don't know. It's still 36 army supply to 51, and even if he does survive here, it's 54 workers to 47. You just lost your third base, so now your fourth is your third. It's a rough position. Veils' stuff is heavily overstemmed, but not having those Roaches be Ravagers, he's got the money for it, he's just not doing it. And that's painful. That's big, big pain. Marines re-stimming yet again. And every time you retreat back, those two tanks are just doing so much damage here. And man, yeah, Dark Menace, he had a good defense at first, but I think the Roaches were probably overkill. Well, it goes two ways. If you're going to make Roaches, just make 4 and make them into Ravagers. Or just make a bunch of Lings and Queens. And don't make any Roaches or Ravagers. But he tried to do a little bit of both. And wound up not panning out for him. And Veils will take the series 2-1 and remain undefeated. That's the game there, or the series, as Veils will take it 2-1.
All right, let's go interview these guys.
Yeah, let's talk to them. All right, just waiting for Dark Menace, but congratulations to Veils for taking the series there. 2-1, remaining undefeated.
Thank you.
And let's talk to Dark Menace a little bit there. So, game 1, it felt like you just didn't have the production quite quick enough. You know, that macro hatchery went down a little late and things like that. And so you just kind of fell behind in the main army fight. And then obviously the mutas being completely prepared for by Veils kind of caught you there, I think, a little bit. Was there anything else that you really felt went wrong in that game, or just kind of not enough units?
I think just not enough units. I'm sure he'll agree.
Yeah. And then game 2, Dark Menace obviously had to feel pretty good after the surround on the army of Veils. One of the most crushing victories I've seen in a fight in the FSL, really. Did you feel pretty confident after that one that you could close that game out? Sorry, what was that?
I don't remember that.
It was just the first big push he made in game 2. You kind of got a 3-way surround and killed like 30 Marines and a couple tanks pretty much for free. And then pushed across the map from there, did some damage, and then pulled back, built up, won from there. Game 3, it felt like maybe just it was like an overall fairly good response, but it felt like there's like 3 or 4 different ways that people handle the 3 racks build, and it felt like you did all of those at the same time a little bit, and so it wound up stretching you a little thin in terms of economy and things like that. Is that just like not a lot of practice against the 3 racks? I know I personally practically never see it anymore. Do you run into that fairly often, or is it just the kind of thing where you don't have a lot of practice against it?
I don't really see it at all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I did tell you in my defense, but the people doubted. Anyways, I think a pretty good series, a very good series overall. Game 2 in particular was pretty epic, back and forth. Vale's almost clawing it back there. Does manage to take the series win, so got to be feeling pretty good about that. Did game 2 have you worried at all? And like whenever he kind of shut you down initially in game 3, was it starting to feel a little bit like maybe it'd slip away there with the 3 racks, or did you feel like it went pretty well with you with the Reapers the whole time?
I feel like I had three CC producing SCVs, so I was like, this isn't really doing damage. But then the Spine Crawler just randomly in the main, not in the mineral line, was a bit like, okay, I think I can probably try and kill some drones later. I don't think it really was enough, but luckily the stim timing and everything just worked out well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. I think I noticed this in game 1 and game 2. This is just a small critique, but the way you push into Zerg is you tend to go all the way onto the creep and then siege up, which allows for things like what happened in game 2 to happen.
Game 2, my stim was so late. Number 1, I didn't have combat shields. I should just not have pushed onto creep. There's no reason for me to be there. I just watched the replay. I lost 3,500 to his like 1k. Just stupid.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty painful trade there. So I think you did a pretty good job of trying to come back in that game, but that's it's a far distance to be down. And then I think on top of that, because you were just trying to not die from there, your 2-2 wound up being way behind his upgrades and things like that. So obviously that's a pretty important set of upgrades in the bio.
I should have just killed some creep, then gone home, or moved around to try and kill a base. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the big thing as well is that Dark Menace stopped producing like workers like 3 minutes before you hit there, and it was just making units the whole time, because I think he was just kind of like, he's going to attack eventually, right?
Yeah.
But he was just hyper prepared for that. So a
Really
little
good
too far
scram.
into creep.
Not really saying anything other than that bad on my part.
All right, fair enough. KJ, did you have any final questions for our players?
So, you know, you guys are almost definitely going to be the top seeds in FSL playoffs. What does this game, the sets of games, do for your mentality for the playoffs?
I think Dark Menace will be worried about the 3 racks. You also haven't seen all my builds, so we'll see what happens.
And Dark Menace?
No comments.
All right, that'll do it, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
GG's.
GG's. All right,
And then,
so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I believe we have one of the 2v2 teams ready. I'm not sure about Mista Fusion. But potentially we have that able to go as well.
Yeah, we need, if that's not gonna go, you're gonna have Dark Menace instability. So,
Yeah, that's Miguela and
check.
Neutrophil, right?
Yeah, they're getting Miguela set up now, so I mean getting ready. So I'm not sure yet. Why don't we take a quick break and see if we can get that going? Otherwise, we'll have Instability Dark Menace in our back pocket.
Alrighty.
All right, we'll be right back.
We have a Ghost Rush with Cloak.
Oh, yes, we've actually seen this in the 2v2 division. Dark Menace and Neutrophil played as a team there, and one of their favorite builds was doing a nuke rush. Double nuke, typically,
Oh
out
my
of
god,
Neutrophil.
yeah. Second Ghost Academy, too. Yeah, so it is going to be double nukes coming out. We got a nice early Baneling Nest as well, right? So a lot of aggression coming here. I'm assuming that cannon is for defense, so, right? You get your teammates to go out on the battlefield, get some craziness done, but then you have a bit of defense at home in case, of course, there's some shenanigans on the other side.
Yeah, and these players, obviously, they range from silver all the way up to diamonds.
Yep.
So there's a lot of MMR difference here. So it's one of the beautiful things, though. We do have individual leagues for each level, but actually, we just saw
I think that was
a
a scout.
Phoenix
Yeah.
hallucination, I think barely getting the scout on those ghosts. Of course, at this level, we do have to have a little asterisk of seen, but
Does
maybe
it
not
mean that
noticed.
you saw it? Exactly, right?
As
So
the Ghost Academies were a little bit in the back, and the Ghost doesn't remain there on the map for you to look back in 5 minutes when you remember you scouted and
Exactly.
see. So we'll see if they're aware. Of course, seeing that Neutrophil is playing as Terran, obviously he has a main race Protoss, that may already be a little bit of a tip-off, as he does love this build.
Okay. I
We
love
actually
this.
have Dark Shrine on the
I
way
saw the Dark
as
Shrine on the way
well.
too, right? Nuke in production. There's a lot going on right now, and that's the beauty of a 4v4, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Dark Shrine, Blink. We got the Ghost on the right side flying in soon. So the Cloak is going to be done by the time they get there. So I'm just rubbing my hands together right now to see how they deal with the Cloaked Ghost dropping into their base.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see indeed. One nuke already finished up, another one on the way. And, you know, it's hard to spot the nukes even at the top level sometimes.
Oh, tell me about it. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many mineral lines I've lost?
The little red dot, of course, of doom. So we'll see how they manage to react to this. We see a lot of air units on the way, of course. That's sort of the flavor of 4v4.
Yep, here we
mass
go.
air. As the ghosts do
Nuclear
go in,
launch
setting them on
detected.
hold fire so they don't accidentally shoot anyone in advance. And he sees a juicy mineral line there.
All right, there's nuke number 1, ET. Nuke number 2 going over on the east side of the map. That's like where we are, like Philly, right? We got to be careful here. We might.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, gotta be careful.
Spotted.
Oh, big nuke. Does manage to get mostly out of there. A few SCVs going down, but nothing too
Oh,
bad.
no! And they spotted one of them, and of course the second one didn't realize that there was going to be a second. 21 SCVs are going to be gone.
Very nice indeed.
Erased. Ouch. That hurts. You felt that one too, right?
Yeah, that hit me in my soul. Of course, they do have Blink Dark Templar tech coming up, maybe looking to get a little bit of counter aggression done. And those Dark Templar, there's a lot
That's a
of
lot of
them
DTs, wow.
on the opponent's side of the map. Instability, she's sort of aware of what's going on, but there's no detection. However,
Oh,
there
no.
are banelings. Could manually detonate. However, that's a little bit much
risky,
to ask,
right?
potentially. As a whole base going down here.
All right,
Blink
ET,
will be
we have a matchup here, the 2v2.
Yeah, always enjoy the 2v2s. This one should be pretty interesting, as we do have two of the top Code S competitors with some lower-ish level teammates, Miguela and Caliber C. Obviously, Miguela, I think, typically Code B, low Code A, somewhere in that range. And
Yep.
Caliber C, we don't really know for sure, but
Yeah.
probably somewhere in low Code A as well.
Great. Let's bring him in. Let's chit-chat with these guys.
Yeah. Welcome to our players. We have Polaris and Mista Fusion joining us. So we'll start with Polaris. How are y'all feeling about the match tonight? Instability.
Sorry. Nothing, I guess.
Nothing. Okay.
I have no thoughts.
Caliber, can you provide us with
There's no
thought.
camera either.
Oh man,
Just
yeah.
like her
Might
thoughts,
be,
but that's okay. If your
yeah.
internet's not working, you can shut that off. But if it seems to be okay.
So Caliber, do you have thoughts beyond no thoughts? Hello?
Oh, he's muted.
Is he? He doesn't look muted. Anyways, okay, I guess we'll hop over to, while you're figuring that out, Mr. Fusion. How are you guys feeling about the match tonight?
This is the team for us to beat, I think, because I think they're seated slightly above us for the playoffs. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Gotta really lock it in to advance to the playoffs.
Miguel, how you feel?
Okay. Everything's glitching right now. I'm trying to open StarCraft.
Oh, there's Caliber. Caliber, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I've been looking forward to this all week. I'm excited.
Nice.
All right. Okay, that's what I like to hear. All right.
He's been looking forward to it all week.
There you go.
But he didn't know who our opponents were until this morning.
Oh, he was just looking forward to 2v2s then.
He was looking forward to the thrill of competition.
That's right.
So, very nice. Oh.
Why don't we start? Because the internet seems good right now. Why don't we do it, guys?
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it while it lasts.
All right.
It looks like we do have one more map selection to be done by Mr. Fusion. We do have the first map, though, so we can hop into that. So you guys can go to your respective channels. If you can just finish up the vetoes really quick, Mr. Fusion, and we'll hop into game.
All right.
Yep, there you go. Map selections are being done now. Looks like, oh, it's done now. There you go. All done. Okay, so ET, we're going to start with this Rascallion, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, Rascallion, big map, as the 2v2 maps tend to be, but I think a relatively, let me make sure I'm thinking of the right map. Yeah, relatively short distance from like the third base to the third base kind of thing. So there's definitely some strong pushes that can happen here. It's going to be hard to call. I think I'd probably have to go Polaris winning, probably like 2-1. Be a little tough to call though, but I think I'd go Polaris 2-1.
There you go. Yeah. I can't argue with that too much, but I think it should be closer than we think.
Yeah, it should be very close because obviously Neutrophil has shown himself to be a pretty strong 2v2 player. He's got a lot of cool builds you can do. But Instability and Caliber C tend to work quite well together. In previous series we've seen they mesh pretty well. So definitely have some strong potential.
Yeah, I'm missing Miguel here. Oh, okay. His game is
opening. Looks like the game is still...
Got it. Right.
The sun is warming up, as they say.
Yep.
And
it looks like we lost her camera too, so that's one of those things where the computer can't handle one or the other, but we'll take the game. But let's see, she may be able to come back.
Yeah, the game, obviously, the most important part. At least I'd imagine Neutrophil would rather have a teammate without a camera than a camera without a teammate. But should have it up and going soon. There she is. And alrighty, yeah, we do have the teams are slightly, yeah, there we go. Okay, teams are fixed, so we'll be able to once Miguel gets your camera on, hop into Rascallion. So like I said, it's got that conjoined main and natural base, so it's very defensible against early game like rushes, I would say, generally speaking. Once you get into those 3 base setups, it starts to get a little more wonky. There's less defense out of the third bases, and they are quite close together. Now, the big thing is you do have the watchtowers in the middle. If you can claim the watchtowers, they give you a lot of extra warning time for big pushes coming out. So if you can keep those, you'll be in a pretty good spot defensively. But if you can't, then you should either be aggressive or, pray. Oh, and the other big thing is the airspace in the main bases, of course, drops,
Phoenixes, things like that can do quite a lot. I believe we've seen from Neutrophil and Megala recently where they just both made Phoenixes, and then Neutrophil just takes control of Megala's Phoenixes and bunches them all together, maybe. I feel like I remember seeing that. And we do know that Instability likes Phoenixes, but if two players are making Phoenixes against one player making Phoenixes, that doesn't usually go very well for the one player. So we'll have to see if something like that happens, but we are loading into game.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
And we are here in the upper left-hand side. We got the orange Protoss player. He is
Neutrophil.
And his ally, the green Protoss player, she is
Megala.
And together, they are
Mr. Fusion.
Ah, shoot. All right, I'm just going to assume none of them have team intros.
Yeah, it's
and
only
in
been
the
one.
bottom right, we have the blue Terran player. He is
Caliber C.
As we have the inaugural lag spike from this player, the purple Protoss. She is
Instability.
And together, they are Polaris. It's a little bit of lag, but nothing crazy thus far. Gas Steal from Neutrophil. On Instability's Vespene Geyser there. And it looks like he's even going to try and block the expansion out of her as well. So we should see a Zealot starting up out of the gateway for Instability, ideally. Oh, Neutrophil a little late to look at this. Loses the probe. Changes the base, goes down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, it is one base setups for Megala and Neutrophil thus far. Neither of them looking to expand just yet. But no second gateway on the way for either of them either. There are expansions down for their opponents, though. As we do also have a Reaper coming out for Caliber C, who will, of course, not send it over to help. Nope, there we go. Okay, hey. He is expanding. His brain is getting larger by the second. Neutrophil looking to expand. Megala looking to expand as well. But will Instability get the block? Nope, not quite. But does see the timing of the Nexus. Knows there's a Nexus. That's all very nice information to have as well. Stalker going to come out and deal with that scouting probe, however. Scouting probe does identify that there's no expansion out quite yet for Megala, but will fall for its efforts. Instability. We see Warp Gate. We see Stalker. See Twilight Council out of Megala. Maybe Dark Shrine possibilities. As Natural Base will get started for her as well. Now, no extra tech out of Neutrophil, just a second gateway. There we go. Robotics Facility and Twilight as well. Robo for Instability, who is starting to probe up her natural base, has the two gases now. And Caliber C going for his signature 2-on-1 that he does like to play. Not because it's the only build I taught him. Why would you say that? So it is 3-gate Robo out for Neutrophil. With a Twilight Council as well. So like 3-gate Robo Blink? Something like that. As a double Shield Battery coming out for Megala, as well as Charge and a Forge. So playing it a little defensive, a little safe there. That Shield Battery not in the best spot. If there was like an Oracle or something like that, that wouldn't do much. That's okay. Quick Phoenix Scout coming out for Neutrophil as well. I'll love to see it. As Caliber C or Taiga continuing to make his Marines. Going to start up his Medivacs soon. We tried to work on him actually building Marines with his barracks, but it looks like that's still a little bit of a struggle, which is okay. I think it's going to be 2 medevacs, like 10 Marines, instead of 2 medevacs, 16 Marines, but that's close. It's not too far off. As medevacs are started up. Instability. Twilight Council a little bit later than that of Megala or Neutrophil, but a slightly stronger economy. And has had the economy for slightly longer as well. Continuing to make probes are all of our players, and, well, except Caliber C. He's being left out, making SCVs. Poor guy. Tanks on the way now for him as well. More Marines, more stim. Well, just the same stim, not more of it. The exact same amount of stim. As Neutrophil's observer comes in, but gets chased away by the observer of instability. So now he's got to be a little bit careful about that. Third base already down for both instability and Neutrophil, so keeping pace with each other. Lag spike number 2. Drinking game, everyone. Every time instability lags, take a shot. I like the pylon in the middle of the map as well out of instability. That's cute. A little bit of free scouting there. Not bad, not bad. I mean, you could just send a Marine or 2 to the towers, but Caliber C does not have that kind of APM. I just recently found out, because I've only ever really cast their games, not watched them, that he plays from an armchair, like a lazy boy. And that made everything make sense as far as his micro goes. I can only imagine trying to micro a Terran army of all things with 6 inches of mouse space. Anyways, Immortals on the way out for instability. Blink on the way out as well. No upgrades for any players except Neutrophil just yet. So would like to see double eBay or something like that on the way for Taiga. Now, the thing with Taiga is he does keep up in the macro department, generally speaking. You can see he's on even supply with the Protoss players, which is a pretty good sign. Megala's falling behind a little bit. But she does have a potent army of Charge Zealots, so that does help. Now Neutrophil's going to move out onto the map. I don't think he'll be able to accomplish all too much. Caliber getting a nice tank position set up. Out comes Megala as well, but yeah, I think that's just too much army. But the tank is going to get jumped upon because they left it alone. But there's Blink. She could just blink on top of that prism! Oh, never mind. There isn't Blink. It's late. It's slow. A chrono is missed, and the tank falls. That said, I think the army is just too big for Polaris, for Mistaffusion to push into this. Double Immortal, all that good stuff. Does have Blink. Instability's pushing a little bit far forward. Triple Immortal, sorry. Holy cow. And Stem Marines, they don't have combat shields yet, so that's a little bit of a mistake for sure. But still, yeah, I think the army's a little bit too powerful for Polaris thus far. I would like to see a Prism in the main base, though. I think that would be good. Although, it's funny, the one person that has a Prism doesn't have charge, but the other person that does have charge doesn't have a Prism. So, duality of life, or whatnot. Prism will go to the main base, as there's some turrets being made to try and deal with that. Some units being put in position as well. I like that. Out of Caliber C, pushes it back a little bit. Will warp in the natural base instead. Some adepts, so we can shade up into the main base. Caliber probably had time to raise the depot there, but that's a little bit of a tall order if you ask me. And these adepts are pulling Instability's army so far out of position that she's about to lose her third base. Question mark? Come on. You gotta be kidding me. Anyways. I guess not. That would have been a perfect time to push in, but, you know, micro and the adepts. Understandable. Oh, half the army of the Protoss is moving forward without the rest of it. That's very nice. For Polaris here, takes an excellent trade overall there. And we'll be able to chase down the army of Mistaffusion with great prejudice. But not in a bad way. Anyways. We'll pull back? Question mark? I guess. No combat shields on the way once again. That's definitely a little bit of a mistake. Very late third base out of Taiga. Megala beating him to the punch on that. As Taiga, will he kill that Prism? Does he even see that Prism? It looks like the answer is no. There we go. Instability does ping it for him. And he will move down. Moves the Reaper ahead of the rest of the army so that Neutrophil has time to run it away, potentially? Nope. Okay. Neutrophil will lose the Prism. Understandable, though. Have a nice day. Does scout the base of Taiga with it, though, so that's nice for him. And Neutrophil taking a fourth. Instability taking a fourth as well. Blow for blow, really, out of these Protoss players. Oh, but the armies of Mystic Fusion are out of position right now as the lag spike gives them time to reorganize their thoughts. The Terran army not pushing in at the same location as the Protoss army, which means will get caught out alone and unloved here. Does Caliber C, who's about to get stormed to death. And indeed he do. Still a relatively good trade for Polaris, I feel, as they are continuing to push in. Storms on Stalkers, not the greatest. There's 4 Immortals out for instability against only 2 for Neutrophil. She will blink on top of the Immortals of Neutrophil as well, pushing into the third base now. Some of the Archons go down. Instability continuing to push in, but will she run out of steam here? I do not think she can fight into triple battery. Needs to pull back. Please pull back here. Oh my goodness. Battery overcharge is very nice as well. Now that said, Megala did not have her units along for the ride. So battery overcharge will go down before the Zealots really arrive. In come the Zealots of Instability as well. Jumping on top of the army. Marines pushing in behind as well. No Storms remaining, but not stimming are the Marines quite yet. There we go. Stim finally going down for the Marines. Will it be enough, though, as that tank comes in as well? A good siege up out of the tank. Continuing to push in. Neutrophil tries to jump on top of the tank, takes some extra fire because of it, but does manage to clean it up, which means the Army of Polaris will get pushed back. Still up in supply from their counterparts, though, so got to feel fairly good about that. No medevac boost out of Taiga. Oh, that is unfortunate. 7 Marines at a time, additional tanks on the way as well, and some medevacs, though, so nothing too bad. Archons now out for instability. More Blink Stalkers coming in as well with a strong 4-base economy coming up. Same for Neutrophil, of course, can be said. Megala taking some heavy blows there. Taiga still has his 3rd base up, but it's definitely in an exposed position for this army of the Protosses. Will they push down there? They're thinking about it. Opts not to. Sending a Prism up to the right to deal with the 4th base of instability potentially is Neutrophil. This instability's up 40 supply, now 30 on Neutrophil. Still, nice little supply lead there. And neither Taiga nor Instability dealing with Neutrophil's Observer at any point ever. That Observer has just been there for all of eternity. So, and probably will remain for all of eternity. So, you know, look for Observers. You never know. They're out there. They're watching you. Creeps. Anyways. 5th base coming in for Neutrophil. Instability, not quite going for one yet herself, but she could. She has that option.
Mineral field depleted.
As Neutrophil is seemingly, I think, controlling the army of Megala, along with his own. Now, the downside to this, of not having Megala micro at all, is when Megala makes new units, Neutrophil can't just F2 those into his army, which is why we often see units of Megala's being somewhat late to the party. Wow. Shut down there. Just 10 Stalkers warp in. Goodbye, Prism. Now, Instability and Taiga should probably make a push to the lower left or something like that in the near future, but not opting to do that just yet. Some Adepts coming in towards the bases of Caliber C. Ships in the night, once again, passing by. 4th and 5th being taken for Taiga, but the Adepts may be able to shut down at least one of those. Taiga's upgrades are disgustingly slow. And Neutrophil actually going to be up 2 upgrades on Instability even, who will only have 2-2 against his 3-3 in the near future. Already up 2. Will be up 4 for a short bit here. So that's pretty nice for him as well. And in comes the army of Mystic Fusion. They're looking to get a surround on the Terran and the Protoss armies here. Have a nice spready. Oh my gosh, there's like 4 tanks that aren't sieged up there in that army, I think. Only like 1 or 2 are. Not what you're looking for. Not what you're looking for, let me tell you. Neutrophil maxing out. Miguela, you can see, is really lagging behind in the supply. But Neutrophil with some excellent upgrades going into carriers as well. Man, Caliber's upgrades are late. Isn't even adding on a second eBay to start making double upgrades at the time, but that's okay. He's making an orbital command, continuing to make siege tanks. Is now maxed out, though, as is Instability. Instability looking to go into that Stargate transition as well. And Caliber C will now move his entire army to deal with 5 Adepts, leaving Instability alone with the tanks. Instability wisely getting up in front of the tanks so that they're defended. Taiga doesn't quite know what an Adept Shade is yet. That's okay.
I have met the enemy.
We'll be able to clean up these Adepts, but the Prism is still there, can just warp in more, and Taiga moved his entire army to deal with this. Would maybe like to see Instability just split off like 8 Stalkers, since she has a little bit more APM and mouse pad space to micro. So we do see the Prism going into the main base. It looks like Taiga also saw that. I love the reactive turret build. That's pretty solid. As Instability is going to try and deal with that so that Taiga can stay at the front. Very good high-level teammate moves. Did she actually recall those Stalkers to the right base? She did. Okay. Neutrophil a little bit late. I mean, moved the Prism in and then kind of forgot about it. So pretty lucky, to be honest, for Instability and Taiga there. As I do think the compositions are starting to favor Polaris a little bit. They're going to start making carriers of their own, and just the tank count is going to be monstrously effective here. But Miguela's slowly approaching max out as well. And if you can get sieged up on the high ground with these tanks, that'd be very good for Caliber, but instead he's going to get fully surrounded with all of his tanks unsieged. There we go. They are sieging up now. Very nice. Tanks all siege up. Oh my gosh, Neutrophil doesn't have high ground vision, I don't think, so he can't actually storm up onto the high ground to deal with that bio, so that's pretty unfortunate for him there. And now the entire Protoss army of Mistaffusion is pushing in at one angle into like 5 tanks, which is not the desired effect. Where is Instability going? Oh no, Instability getting heavily outpositioned here by Mistaffusion. Just left the Terran army in the caring, loving hands of the Storms from Neutrophil. Still, though, there's so many Immortals out for Instability that looks like she will be able to hold her own, at least for the moment. Carrier is dealing with just a couple Zealots instead of actually joining the main fight here, but Instability needs to run and run hard. Oh, but Caliber C, he says, no, we stand, we fight. As Instability now sees the carriers. She's got 6 carriers of her own on the way, but that's going to be a little while before those actually come in and start doing work here. Now, that said, carriers don't actually do very well against stemmed Marines, as you can see now when all 4 carriers lose every interceptor they ever knew and loved. In comes the Zealots, though, which do pretty well against the Terran bio, but with the Immortals and the Stalkers assisting, we'll be able to push through as, oh my word, it looks like Instability and Taiga may be able to push through into the base of Miguela here. 4 more carriers on the way for Neutrophil, but this is the thing. Marines kind of just counter carriers, so if you don't have Marines of your own, you're in a rough spot. Now, good DT out of Neutrophil does shut down the 5th base of Taiga, but Taiga doesn't really need a 5th base right now. He's got 2,400 minerals in the bank. Those 6 carriers now out for Instability as well, but oh my gosh, that's a lot of charge Zealots. I fear that Polaris may be pushing a little too far. You know, just take the base, kill Miguela's other bases, and then run away. Maybe, you know, get out of dodge kind of thing. Still, though, fairly good trades coming out. 6 carriers to 8, though. If she loses all her carriers, that could be the snowball effect here as, oh my gosh, I wonder why she's lagging. It couldn't be the massive fight on the screen. Instability's carriers now coming in, but there are shield batteries being overcharged now. Instability needs to run back from the fight, I believe, and indeed she will. Tanks sieging up in the face of the charged Zealots. Caliber C about 10 times more confident in this fight than Instability is, but does now run away. A little bit late, but late arrivals are still welcome. And now it's Mista GG pushing back across the map. Taiga not really having the buildings behind this to macro. He's only making 9 Marines at a time, which, yeah, 9 Marines equals about 1 Storm. Instability not target firing her carriers, I don't think, so we'll maybe lose the carrier fight here. Nope, with the Marines underneath, actually. Gets a pretty solid fight there. It's currently 4 carriers, 7 Tempests to 8 carriers. Only 66 workers for Instability, 74 for Neutrophil, so not the strongest economies, but still solid economies behind this. But just so many Zealots for Miguela. It's disgusting. And also, Caliber C pushing in on his own. The teamwork is starting to fall apart a little bit here for Polaris. Neutrophil and Miguela able to micro together perfectly because only one of them is microing. So, you know, that's kind of makes it a moot point, the whole thing. But Taiga goes, is the DT still here? Oh, yes, it is, and lifts back up. Now the DT, enraged by the teasing of the command center, is going to go off in search of dainty little SCVs to rip apart with his scythe. And oh look, there's some SCVs. Never mind, he's just going to attack the command center, so I guess that's okay. Now he's going in on the SCVs. Caliber C scans about 2 years too soon. Will he even kill it? Yes, he does, barely. Oh my gosh. If that scan had run out, that would have been sad. Luckily, it didn't. But we're all about speculation over here at ET Casting Incorporated. +3 air weapons is going to finish up for Instability. +2 only halfway-ish done for Neutrophil. So good upgrade lead there for Instability. Currently up 2 upgrades. And the count is 14 carriers to 8 carriers and 7 Tempests. So technically more air units for Neutrophil if he can micro those well, which he does have the internet for, unlike Instability. Should have the superior air army at the moment. Neutrophil looking to lose some probes, it looks like. Goes down to 66 probes to match that of Instability. As Caliber C could technically, oh my goodness, get absolutely annihilated here. This is about to be very bad. This is about to suck for the Terran. Yikes. Taiga immediately stims the rest of his army in so that they can go die too. And in they come. Okay, does turn tail and run, so that's appreciated. I think that's the right choice. Taiga falling apart a little bit in the late game. Doesn't really know how to make anything that isn't a Marine, a tank, or a medevac, it looks like. And the vision for Taiga and Instability, not there, so they didn't know where the army of Mistaffusion was, which means now it's just Instability's army against the full might of 2 Protoss players. Now that said, one of the Protoss players is basically only a ground Protoss player, so, you know. They're not actually going to help here. Oh, but a recall does come out. Instability winning that fight solo, as Taiga now down to 0 minerals. Taiga with literally no minerals in the bank. Miguela only doing somewhat better, as she's lost almost all of her mining as well. Does have some long distance going, and 1 base still up and mining, which is a lot more than Taiga can say for himself. Taiga does have 40-ish army supply to the 30-ish of Miguela. Looks like he will be working on re-expanding and retaking his bases. Five more carriers on the way for Instability, who did have superior micro there, but now there's going to be a mothership out for Neutrophil, which does throw a wrench in the detection a little bit there. And it's it's a little quiet out now. Some units of neutrophils running into that base of instabilities, but no probes there, so not much going to be done there. Just kill a pylon, I guess. As Instability made Phoenixes? What? Instability made 12 Phoenix. I guess. I don't know. I feel like Carrier Tempest beats Phoenix Carrier. Especially when there's a mothership in the mix for the Carrier Tempest. Now, funnily enough, both players that are really getting their economies hammered are the worst players anyways, right? Like, Miguel is the one getting her economy hammered, and Taiga's the one getting his economy hammered. Whereas Neutrophil and Instability's bases have been almost completely uncontested the entire game. Which is probably not the way you'd want to do it. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the way you want to do it. I can't say for sure. As Taiga trying to mine there. In comes Mr. DT. Taiga will move down there. Instability trying to stay more close to him now. But this is starting to look very good for Mr. GG. As Taiga's army composition is still countered by one type of unit from Neutrophil. And apparently, scan. Oh, no. There we go. Okay. I mean, just the High Templar alone basically take care of all of Taiga's forces. Which is not good, so to speak. At the same time, Megala's Zealots aren't doing anything against the carriers, right? So it's sort of just really, it's back to just Instability versus Neutrophil's units, and that's it. But Instability doesn't have detection. And Neutrophil has Cloak. And also, they're not checking the Watchtower right next to them. So Neutrophil currently has full vision of them. That's a little bit sad. That's not what you want. And, oh yeah, and Neutrophil is about to abuse that to the max and close out the game. Well, not quite. But probably could have, to be honest. Check the watchtowers, please. I beg you. Oh, well. In come the Phoenix of Instability. I don't know. I don't know if those are a good move or a bad move. It could be either way. Oh my gosh. They're literally next to Neutrophil's base, but they're not doing anything about it. Now, that does mean that Instability is still up a base on Neutrophil because she has that sort of center-ish base that Neutrophil does not have on their side of the map. Actually, she's up 2 bases on Neutrophil right now. So that could be somewhat important. She does have a bigger bank, but at the same time, this feels like the kind of army composition where one person is going to win a fight and then the game is going to end. Like, you're not going to have time to rebuild carriers in this situation. You're just going to die if you lose your whole army. So whoever has the better army overall is probably going to end up winning this in the end of the day. But I'd almost like to see Widowmine production out of Taiga, as that does help a lot against interceptors. At the same time, you can splash your allies, carriers, or interceptors with it. So it's a little bit of a, you know, it's a wash. Instability, a bit more lag coming out. As Neutrophil is looking to just get more damage done as well. Would really like to see an Oracle out of Instability. I do like the scan there, that's good. We'll be able to kill the mothership as well. And you could even just feed back these Phoenixes, you know? Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Okay, there we go. You can't really push beyond your siege tanks as Caliber. You will just get stormed to death if you do, unfortunately. But I don't think he's quite figured that out yet. He's getting there, though. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Technically, it's like Ghosts probably just win the game here, but I'm very confident when I say that Taiga would not hit EMPs in this situation. I don't think that would happen. Because he plays on an armchair. So that's just not really a microable spot. Now, big storms do go down on Instability's army. She's continuing to target down the carriers of Neutrophil as best she can. The Marines fighting the Interceptors, I do like that. That's actually, oh my gosh, they're winning this fight. They're crushing this fight. The Marines not getting fully cleaned up. It's like if the Marines survive, then Polaris wins today because Marines just annihilate interceptors, even when it's only 1-1 Marines. Yes, you heard that right. Taiga has 1-1 Marines 30 minutes into the game. And he's also made, let's see, over 400 Marines in this game with 1-1. Now, again, there's two sides to the coin of whoever loses the fight loses the game. I was originally talking about instability not being able to rebuild, but it's also true of neutrophil. As GG will be called, and that's going to be the game. Okay. So that was game number 1. That was insane. that was a crazy 2v2 match. Like I said, I checked it. Caliber C lost over 400 Marines that game. That is an insane amount of dead boys. But the good news is we get at least one more game kind of like that on Heavy Artillery, and potentially a third game like that on Emerald City. So we are going to head into game, and I will be right back in about 2 minutes while we load into game. Okay, I am back. Apologies for the delay. There's this sort of duality of casting where I have to drink lots of water because my throat gets sore, and then I've drunk lots of water and I'm sitting and I'm not doing anything. Draw your own conclusions. Anyways, it's gonna be Heavy Artillery LE for game number 2, and I am very excited. This has been an epic series thus far, and I expect more great things. But yeah, man, the Marines, you had to kill every last one of those Marines, or else exactly what we saw happen there happens. Your DPS just starts dropping off. And the big thing that was the trouble there for Neutrophil and Megala, right? What am I trying to say? If Megala crushes every last Marine, then all that's left on the ground is her zealots that can't do anything against the carriers. If Megala does not crush it and any amount of Marines are left, well, Marines shoot up, so they help in the air battle, right? So it was sort of like a no-win almost for Megala. Overloading the game. As we do have in the top left-hand side of, top right-hand side of Heavy Artillery LE, we've got this person.
Instability.
Best intro I've ever done as their ally, the blue Terran player. He is
Caliber C.
And together they are Polaris. Up 1-0 in an absolute storm of a match. We have their opponents, the red Protoss player. She is
Miguela.
And her ally, the orange Protoss player. He is
Neutrophil.
And together they are Mr. Fusion. I don't know. I feel like you could make like a barbershop quartet out of that name, you know? Anyways, instability. Zippity zapping away at Neutrophil's probe as she makes sure to prevent her gas from being stolen. Happy little gas. We'll just add a happy little pylon here. And a happy little pylon there. And no expansion out of instability. I think her probe chased Neutrophil's probe and then forgot what it was trying to do. So, plate Nexus, that's okay. Core first out of Miguela and Neutrophil, a little bit safer of a build, puts you a little bit farther behind in the economy, but not a big deal at all. As we have a quick expansion out of Taiga and instability. Zealot being made for Miguela. So, nice safety move as the Reaper does come out for Taiga as well. And there goes the expansion for Neutrophil. Miguela's soon to follow behind. We're all eagerly anticipating and awaiting. Now, Neutrophil is making a Stalker, which we'll finish up shortly. Horribly exciting, I know. As looks like Taiga has walled his SCV out of his base. What did this SCV do to deserve this? The world may never know. So we do have Factory and Barracks coming in for Taiga as well. We'll be adding on his Tech Labs, his Reactors, and his Marines and Medevacs, all coming soon to a theater near you. So we do have Instability's base finishing up. Taiga's not far behind. And a Robo, once again, on the way for instability. We saw a lot of Immortals for her in those previous games, providing a lot of power. And a lot of lag, baby. Instability dropping once again. That's okay. One day, she'll have internet that doesn't lag. It's a dream I long had in her shoes as well. And eventually, I achieved it. And then I went right back to having internet that wasn't very good. But one day, I'll re-achieve my dream I already achieved and then unachieved. But nonetheless, we've got the Robo and the Twilight Console coming in for Neutrophil. Same thing for instability. Same thing, sort of, for Miguela, except Miguela skips the Robo. She just makes a Forge instead. Which is fair. So we do have Stim coming in. Oh my gosh. Taiga's build thrown off a little bit here, I want to say, as Stim started after the starport, which I don't think is typically the timing. I could be wrong. Who knows? But nonetheless, he'll have 2 extremely quick medevacs to go with his 8 Marines. As we do have some depots coming in as well. Quick Dark Shrine on the way for Neutrophil, obviously. I think saw how well the DTs did in the later stages of the previous game and saying, what if we did that well, but sooner? And so he will. Instability, making Blink. As Taiga, making Stim, making Medevacs, making Marines. Just the usual song and dance of the Terran player in the Great Sahara Desert, as the third base will come down for instability momentarily. There you go. Called it once again. How does he do it? Meanwhile, we do have Charge out for both the Protosses on Mr. Fusion. Darkshine finishing up. Prism going to be a little bit late across the map, but that is okay. Should still be able to get a good amount of damage done. Tanks coming out as well for Caliber C now, who is making double eBay. I do wonder if he heard my comments about the 30-minute 1-1. Who knows? Who knows? Hard to say. Impossible to say. One could even argue. Dropping out 1 DT to go into the natural base once he draws the attention to the main is Neutrophil. Do you like that? Do you like that? Instability, I do not think has an observer out yet. No, she does. I don't know where it is, though. It is somewhere. Apparently my jump to thing is not working. She has an observer somewhere. Over the rainbow. But the DTs are getting a disgusting amount of damage done. Oh my gosh. A scan that does not kill the DT. Because the DT already left. The DT is the DT in the room with us right now. Instability will be able to clean up another one of the DTs. We're all ecstatic about this. And an excellent start for Miss Diffusion. I'm just going to tell anyone, any of the 2v2 teams, just make DTs. I don't care if you're Terran. Swap to Protoss. Make DTs. It's going to do so well for you in the FSL. In pretty much any level of 2v2, it's going to do pretty well for you. They are very hard to deal with, especially when there's twice as many bases to worry about. Sure, there's twice as many units, but there's also half as much coordination. So, Instability goes into the main. Caliber C remains on the low ground. Instability kills the DT, but then it continues looking for more. Does find another DT. Down it goes. Neutrophil now comfortably up 20 supply on Instability. Taiga's still up in supply on Miguela, but down 20 workers from her, so he has a lot of army and not a lot else going on for him, as Lag Spike, take a shot. And, oh, I guess the lag menu didn't pop up. I don't know. You can decide your own rules for your own drinking game about that one. Does the lag screen have to pop up, or does a lag spike count? Into the main base. 3 turrets being made there for Caliber C. I like that. I like that. And an adequate, appropriate even, reaction to DTs. Instability runs her probes away, only loses a couple. And you can start to bleed a lot of resources here as Neutrophil if you're not careful. DTs are expensive, and eventually they'll stop doing damage. Or is that just what they want you to think? Colossus now coming out for Miguela, so expanding the realm of units she's willing to make from Zealots to Zealots and Colossi, which are both pretty good Marine killers. That said, tanks are pretty good against Colossus. That said, you have to actually target fire the tanks on the Colossus, or else they'll just shoot Zealots, do nothing, and die. Place your bets. Place your bets. War Prism looking to go into the main base once again. There's 3 turrets there, though. Yeah, got to be careful. Instability and Taiga starting to go, should we attack? I think we should attack. As Neutrophil's going to sneak on by into the main base, but they are moving out now. Oh, he's gonna drop it in the back. That's actually good for Polaris because there's a cannon there, which ostensibly will defend against that. Oh, he's going to warp in extras? No, he's just going to warp in adepts, which can sort of circumvent the cannon. I do like that. Okay, and now Polaris is going to go home. Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll clean up the adepts now. Let's take a tally, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? That is 28 probes lost for Instability and 22 SCVs lost for Taiga in exchange for 8 DTs and 3 adepts. I think a relatively good trade for Neutrophil. It's not perfect, but it's pretty solid. Perfect would be winning the game, which doesn't happen too often with DTs. Just a lot of damage, which usually converts into winning the game down the line. Taiga does not have his army positioned well. This is not how you should have your army positioned, just for future reference. The Marines should be amongst the tanks and even behind them, because otherwise, this happens. Well, I guess that went okay. Not really for Taiga. It went okay for instability. It didn't go very well for Taiga. Yeah. 20 Zealots did go down for Miguela, though, who's now double pumping Colossus. Yeah, you don't typically want your Marines that far out ahead of the rest of your army. Elsewise, bad things happen. Instability is now going to pull her entire army to deal with a Dark Templar. Goodbye to the tanks of Taiga. Do. Anyways, we do have like 5 Immortals in there for instability, so that's pretty good. Taiga is getting hammered, and not in the enjoyable alcohol way. As more tanks coming in, will they siege? Yes, but instability might just run away. Okay, good. She does stay. That's good. Continuing to blink back her stalkers, get into the choke point. I do like that. The tank's doing lots of damage, but I'm not sure if it's enough O damage. Oh, the tanks stay alive, actually. Very nice. Barely surviving there. And a pretty good trade overall. And Colossus don't really do anything against Immortals. Luckily, Neutrophil does have Immortals, which do anything against Immortals. The tanks decide it's worth it to unsiege so they can move forward 2 feet and die. And indeed, they move forward 2 feet and die. And I do think we're going to see a game win here. In large part due to the DTs, but also a very good compositional choice out of Miguela and Neutrophil, adjusting from the fact that the A key is Taiga's favorite button. Like most Terrans. It's not that there's anything wrong with the A key being his favorite button either. Just a good adjustment out of Mystic Fusion. I feel I'm probably slightly more sarcastic this cast than some others, but that's for reference because I am best friends with Taiga, so I get to be kind of a jerk to him. Just a little bit. He's playing very well, but GG is called, and Mystic Fusion does take it down. Very well done. All right, it's tied 1-1 in an exciting series. That game was epic. As DTs do kind of win the day overall, but like I said, well played. Good follow-up out of them as well. Instability did rebuild quite well off the back of that. And that's sort of, you see the prime difference, or one of the big differences, between the higher level players from the Code S and the mid to lower level players from the Code A and Code B, where Instability took more damage than Caliber did from the DTs, but she recovered way, way better. And so she was actually able to catch up almost completely in supply to Neutrophil. Unfortunately, Caliber or Taiga took a little bit too much damage and was not able to recover. So that's just one of those key differences, is surviving and weathering the storm when things go bad. And it's not an easy skill. It's not easy to learn. It's not easy to build upon. It's difficult. Tough, even, one could say. But this has been a pretty hype series. Very excited about this. This is cool. I like this. As I mentioned before, we are headed into Emerald City to close things out one way or another, probably, unless maybe it's somehow a draw, but I can't comprehend how that would happen, so I'm just going to shut that out of my mind and pretend it can't. As yeah, we'll have we're just waiting on instability. She had to take a moment, maybe some internet things to check, something like that. Is my internet still bad? Yep. Okay, glad we checked that. Something along those lines, you know. Okay. Shortly, ladies and gentlemen, shortly. There we go. Instability is back. We just got invited to the game really quick. As yeah, now we've got Neutrophil and Caliber versus Instability and Miguela. There we go. I swapped the teams back, and it looks like we are ready to head into a game. Ready, steady, go. It's going to be Emerald City LE to close off our 2v2 match of the night. But fear not, we got more awesome content coming afterwards.
Watching FSL Season 6.
Alrighty, we are loading in to the bottom right-hand side. We got the orange Protoss player. He is
Neutrophil.
And his ally, the red Protoss player. She is
Miguela.
Together, the team that tied it up in the previous game is Mr. Fusion. And their opponents in the top left-hand side, we got the blue Terran player. He is
Caliber.
And his ally, the teal Protoss player. She is
Instability.
And together, they are Polaris. Instability. Want to make sure the gas steal doth not happen in this game. Now, Instability, I posit you this. Game 1, you got your gas stolen. You won. Game 2, you denied it from being stolen. You lost. Should you not want your gas to be stolen, then? I'm like Socrates StarCraft edition. It's pretty great. As it does get the full scout off. Looks like it's going to be the same build. Miguel and Neutrophil not venturing away from their standard opening builds, at least for the early game portion. And neither are Taiga or Instability. It's all, you know, pretty even overall. Neutrophil does take his base. I don't know, it feels like Instability could be denying that a little better. It's like a pylon, you know? Not that it's a particularly important denial, I guess. Stalker would come out fairly shortly after that anyways. And Instability will overstay her welcome and lose her probe. What did Mr. Probe do to deserve this? Something, probably. He probably cannon rushed in a past life, so he deserved that. So we do have the builds coming out for all our players. 2-1-1 once again. Tech buildings not coming down quite yet for any of the Protosses, but I imagine we'll see Robo and Twilight in the near future. So you have the expands coming down for Mr. Fusion. Somewhat behind those of their counterparts in the upper left, but that's okay. They'll catch up. They always have, they always will. So we'll see if Neutrophil opts to go for Dark Templar again. This map, probably a little bit easier to defend for it, maybe? I don't know. I don't think the last map was terrible for defending against it either. Mid-diff or something like that? I don't know. Stim on the way at a better timing for Caliber. However, not making Marines. You should be making Marines, just for reference. There we go. Here we go.
I'm here. Research
It's tough, I will say. I remember when I tried to learn the 2-on-1, just building the 3 Marines consistently while also hitting all the rest of the build is like so complex. It's like, can I go back to Zerg where I just make a hatchery and a spawning pool and then I hold the D key, and every now and then maybe I make a creep tumor? Life was so much simpler in those days. It's definitely not that I put like 1,000 hours into those processes so they're automated, and it's not with Terran. That's definitely not what it is. It's just that Terran's a harder race. Guaranteed. Skill issue. Skill issue. Now, Hallucinated Scout does come in and will see what's going on, making sure there's no dank Templar on the way this time around. It's going to be Blink and a Prism, just like in game numero uno for Neutrophil. As Blink and a Prism, probably going to be coming along the way for Instability ere long as well. Quick gold base, as pointed out by our wonderful observer, from Neutrophil, so very nice to see there. Smart play, smart play. Although I feel like if you're going to make Megala make nothing but Zealots, maybe she should have the gold base, you know? Is that fair? Is that fair to think? Am I crazy? Probably am, because Megala probably just wouldn't be able to spend the gold base's money, you know? And would just be floating a lot, probably. I wonder if she ever gives her gas to Neutrophil. Something to watch for, because she does have 4 Vespian Geysers, but I don't know how she's going to spend that since she makes primarily Zealots. As Neutrophil looking to make a little push across the map here. Of course, there is an Immortal and some Stalkers out for Instability. 2 Immortals and some Stalkers out, I should say. So, oh my goodness, she makes Hallucinated Stalkers on accident. Dank. I like it. And I do like that Hallucination out of Neutrophil, kind of letting him know when he needs to get out of dodge. And out of dodge he does get. Now, Instability has not made Blink and has not made Charge, which is a little bit questionable. I'm surprised by that for sure. As we do have Stamina Combat Shields coming in for Caliber, as well as his tanks. And Marines. You can't forget the Marines. That's what my pappy always told me. As in comes Neutrophil, we'll have to blunk on out of there, I would say. No, he's going to come down and meet the Terran Bio. He's going to try and take out a medevac, maybe? Oh, but he's going to get stemmed on. Get stemmed on, foo. Oh, there's a 3rd base at the gold for Taiga. I like that. I like that a lot. Got to make enough barracks to keep up with it once it gets online, but we'll see if he manages to do that. As the supplies relatively even all around this game around. You do have +1 on the way for both Neutrophil and Instability. No upgrades on the way for Taiga. Will we see another 0-0 or 1-1 game at 30 minutes? Stay glued to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, to find out. As we do have additional barracks coming down. No engineering bays, though. He's like, the last time I remember to make my upgrades at the right timing, I proceeded to get DT'd to death. So, probably holds up a little crucifix, you know? Get away, DTs. No upgrades a day keeps the DTs away. That's probably the motto there. So you have +2 coming in for Instability. She's taking her 5th and 6th gases as a Warp Prism is going to come in to the main base of Instability. Well, it's going to think about it. But it's been spotted! Oh no! But, I mean, I don't think Instability actually saw that. We do have a corner base coming in for Neutrophil as well. 4th base going to come down for Instability. As there is a cannon in the main for Instability, so like that. Neutrophil is looking to come in, but he's not really sure what to do. There come 3 Adepts. There is a cannon, but cannon doesn't do too much against Adepts. The signature Adepts, so to speak, of Neutrophil. As he does manage to kill a few workers here, and shades down. Instability will blink on top, though, and clean up the Adepts. I don't know if that was super worth it for him, but it was okay. You know, it wasn't bad. So you do have a bit of a supply lead for Taiga on Instability, though. Will we see a push-out, though, is the real question? And the answer is no. Just so you know, the answer is no. It's not going to happen. As this is the big problem at this level of 2v2. With it's why Neutrophil tends to do as well as he does with only being the one person microing all the armies. His army's always together. He always pushes in the same spot. And Neutrophil or Taiga and Instability do never have the vision, so they never know where he's coming from. So the armies are always split apart like this, which means Neutrophil gets a big fight with his army and Megala's army against one army of his opponents. Now that said, this time around, Taiga does manage to deal with some zealots that came into his base, but Instability is now getting annihilated on her side of the map with no assistance from her teammate. Here comes the saving grace that is Taiga, however. The Roaring Lion, or Taiga, as the case may be, except that's not what Taiga means. It just sounds like it. And now, big zealot run by into his gold base. Goodbye economy. Goodbye chances in this game. I don't know. Probably not. I think they're still in a fine spot. Megala did lose a lot of zealots there. Overall, the resources lost are looking okay. He didn't. Well, the zealots were probably just gonna like jump if he left it anyways. So, you know, I can't blame him. Instability, I imagine, has got to be wondering where these zealots are coming from, right? I hope. Maybe she'll find the hidden base. Nope. She's going to walk backwards now. Now, at this point, I feel like, as Polaris, you have to go, if we don't push right now, we are dead. Would be probably my thought, because you just lost a lot. And you do still have a good tank count. So I would be wanting to take advantage of that, since one of us no longer has a third base. But I guess they're just going to siege up, which is fine as well. Looks like Neutrophil might actually just charge headfirst into tanks, but Neutrophil's been pretty good about pulling back once the tanks start shooting him. Yeah, like that, kind of. Takes a couple volleys, but nothing too bad. And now that means he's probably just going to walk around. Taiga's not going to move, because they don't have vision. Sensor towers would be good here too, you know. I was just thinking, actually. Sensor towers would be pretty good. Taiga does have a massive army. 120 army supply right now, roughly. But, okay. Instability, though, not in as good of a position. And Taiga, there we go, is now moving to help. But the problem is Taiga's tanks are almost always lagging behind because he doesn't unsiege them until a little bit too late. And the Stormu is coming in as well. It's not... Oh my gosh! Oh, well, he kind of stormed the force field, which meant the Marines kind of ran around the storm for the most part, which was nice. We need another stem out of Taiga, though. There we go. Here it comes. I feel like they could push through with the tanks. Start sieging those up. Start sieging the tanks! There we go. Boom bus. Alright. The tanks do pretty well, but I'm not sure if they can continue pushing through here. Lost most of the Marines. The army's getting a little haphazardly not together. Instability's pulling back, but Taiga wants to push in, which means more units are lost, and then Taiga has to retreat eventually anyways. And now Neutrophil and Megala are looking to be in a pretty powerful spot with a lot of Colossi out now. And yeah, I mean, it's just the lack of vision, you know? There's not been Marines out on the map. There's not been Zealots. There hasn't been very many Pylons. And so Taiga is always late to the party, basically, because he doesn't know what's going on. And because he doesn't have the best space or like setup for microwing, it takes him a while to move in the first place. And so that being hindered by also not even knowing where he's supposed to move to until quite late is a nasty combination. And now heavily down in supply, big amount of Zealots in the main bases for Neutrophil. Will recall, does instability, but Taiga's lost all of his main base economy as well. And instability is now probably going to lose a base on top of that. Her freshest base, just about. And yeah, oh man. Yeah, Taiga, unfortunately, only makes Marines, and Neutrophil and Megala making the perfect adjustment of just making a lot of Colossi. And will crush through and annihilate the forces. and take game number 3 with a 2-1 win over Polaris. Very nicely done indeed. Strong adjustment with this Colossi. I think that made all the difference that was needed. And of course, the DTs in game number 2 helped as well. This reminds me of like Zill, you know, the mission in going to Liberty campaign. Just a ton of tanks. There's a huge amount of Colossi and Immortals and everything pushed through. Unfortunately, in this case, Taiga did not have a laser drill, which is somewhat of a key component when it comes to defending in Zeal. So, instability into the carrier transition, but a day late and $1 short will end up having to tap out here. GG is gone.
Neutrophil.
All right, we'll go ahead and drag our players in as we did have a win there out of Mr. Fusion, taking it down 2-1 against Polaris here. Let's talk to Polaris a little bit there. Game 1 obviously was pretty insane. A lot of massive army trade-outs. Actually, Caliber, would you like to hazard a guess as to how many Marines died in your service in game number 1? Caliber, can you hear me? I think his voice chat may be broken. Okay. Anyways, instability.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and hazard a guess as to how many Marines perished in game?
At least 350.
I think it was about 450. So a bit of a massacre there, but did manage to pull it out. I think just enough Marines survived in that final fight that they were able to kind of clear out the interceptors and let instability's carriers reign supreme. Game number 2, DTs just weren't quite prepared for those, and I mean, obviously, 2v2 maps, there's a lot more space you got to cover. So I think that's pretty much went wrong for you there. Just didn't scout that, I guess, instability.
Well, yes, we didn't scout it, but I knew there were going to be DTs. That's why I made an observer, and I just didn't tell him.
Ah, fair enough. That works as well. And then game 3, I think Megala and Neutrophil made excellent adjustments in terms of Megala's composition in specific, just making lots of Colossus because the main problem they ran into was a lot of Marines. And obviously, a lot of Colossus overcomes that. So I think Caliber, you maybe want to start looking into this legendary unit called the Marauder in the coming days. But a good attempt out of you both nonetheless, and an excellent series. One of the best 2v2 games I think I've seen in that game number 1. That was a lot of back and forth, just massive engagements. So very well done overall, but congratulations to our victors. We got Mr. Fusion. I really think, yeah, the main story of that series was adjustments, right? I think if you'd played game 2 and 3 the way you played game 1, it probably would have been a 2-0. I guess you wouldn't have played game 3 the same way in that case, but adding in those Colossi and just going for more early aggression and things like that really kind of seemed to work out. Was that an on-the-fly adjustment, or were those builds kind of in the plans from the start?
So we just kind of have like a army composition plan. We don't really plan when we're like planning on pushing or anything. We didn't want to face the Sky Toss again, obviously, so that's why we were a lot more aggressive the next few games.
Fair enough. Yeah, instability did pretty well with the target fire and the carriers and everything. And I feel like one thing we were talking about in game number 1, right, is Megala's all Zealots and Caliber's all Marines. So if Megala wins the ground, then she can't help against the carriers anyways. But if Caliber wins the ground, then he can. So that was sort of just like, even if Megala and the Storms managed to win out on the ground, it's not going to be enough typically. And we kind of saw that as eventually a fight happened where the Marines didn't all die and then just the carriers got wiped. But I think pretty clean play in game number 2. Excellent DT usage, obviously. KJ, did you have any questions for our players?
Yeah, Miguela, how was your synergy with Neutrophil in that game? Because you had the Colossus, charged lots, and you were expanding. How did you feel throughout that?
I totally forgot Colossus was a thing until EJ mentioned it. I was like so excited because that's what I used to like be obsessed to do back then.
Nice, nice, great.
That's fair. Colossus are an exciting unit.
Yeah, it's like War of the Worlds unit, you know, from the movies. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that'll do it. Congratulations again to Mr. Fusion. As you said, it was an important match for you, and you managed to get the result you were looking for. So, very well done, and good luck in the rest of your series.
Thank you. GG.
Thank you. GG.
All right, ET. We got Deepu Gray, I think.
Yeah, looks like it. As should be exciting. Let's see. Are we doing? We said Mighty Ann isn't making it tonight, correct?
Mighty Ant is not gonna make it. We also have Dark Menace and Veils.
Yeah.
I mean,
Two more series.
Ghost Chant.
Dark
so
Menace.
that'll be the last one. Dark Menace Ghost.
Oh.
Say Ghost Chant. I'm sorry, Instability. Dark Menace Instability. It's the last game. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have Gray versus Deepu.
Yep.
This should be an exciting one. Gray, an up and comer in the Code A, right?
Yeah, he's a Zerg player and pretty good.
Deepu.
Yep. Let's bring in Deepu too. And Gray, we need him on Discord, and we're all set. Let's get this show started.
Yeah, should be pretty exciting. As Gray, up and comer, Deepu. I think 2 or 3 seasons ago won the Code A.
Mm-hmm.
As was he's the one who did like the Code B through Code A playoffs win. I feel like someone did that. I think it might have been Deepu who won the Code B and then played through the Code A playoffs and won it as well.
Yeah, he moved up. Like he kept winning.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. All right, we do have Gray. We'll go ahead and drag them in. Alrighty, welcome to our players. Let's start with Gray. How are you feeling about this match against Deepu? Have you been able to kind of see his play style and everything and prepare a little bit, or is it just more general practice for you?
Yeah, it's just more of a general practice for me. But I tried watching Deepu's previous games, and I just don't want to know what to think because he has a lot of cheese available. So I just want to play like standard or at least try to play macro once I survive maybe first few of his timings or cheese. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, obviously he's got I think a pretty large repertoire, right? It's not just 1 or 2 builds you have to worry about as well. So that's definitely a dangerous player to go up against in something like this when there's so many things they could pull out. So Deepu, how are you feeling? Obviously Gray, a new player this season, been performing pretty well. How are you feeling about going up against him?
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous, I guess. I've not really seen any of his games, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect, but I mean, I kind of go in pretty blind to most of my matchups, so it should be fine, you know what I mean? That's kind of... I should be fine. I'm a bit scared, though, yeah, I'm a bit nervous.
All right, fair enough. KJ, did you have any questions for our players before we hop in?
Well, how do you prepare Gray? Because Deepu plays all the races, so I guess, and that he may cheese you. So what did you do? Did you just lather?
So last week I tried asking for some partner players, but I unfortunately didn't get one. Mizel was not available, so
to practice. Yeah,
I just tried going on ladder before this match, so just so I have idea of what things can be done as a cheese for different races.
Yeah, well, you can watch a lot of the YouTubes now. A lot of the YouTube videos from players are cheeses. Cheese to Grandmaster doing something, right? ET, is that what everyone's doing?
Yeah, there's been some drama about that lately. Yeah, X to GM, right?
Yeah.
I think the latest one is Planetary Fortress Rush to GM from Uthermal.
Yeah.
Is the latest and greatest.
Okay. Well, We'll get these guys started. Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck.
All right.
We'll talk to you guys after. Okay, we got a mute and deafen, so we can go in. I was going to ask, it looks like we're set on East US. Are we doing, like, do we need to do West or anything like that, or Central?
Yeah, I'm going to remake that so it's more fair.
Okay. Yeah. I do like, I didn't know you could do this. Or maybe you can, yeah. You can do the pick game server on lobby creation. I'm not sure if that's a new thing or I just never noticed it, but that was so convenient when I saw that.
Yeah, it pops up right before the lobby pops up, and then I forgot. So it's kind of, I wish it would like do a preference, you know. I would rather have it on lobby, actually. I think I can just change it, but
yeah, change it in the lobby. Yeah, it's a little painful that you can't do that, but heck, I'd just be glad if they fixed it to where it doesn't take 3 hours for you to actually leave the lobby whenever you quit lobby, you know?
Yes, sir.
But I don't think we're getting that either, unfortunately. So, so we will. Gray's stuck on entering lobby, so I think he may have to reload real quick. As then we'll be hopping in. So it's going to be Cosmic Sapphire to start out. TVZ, which is, again, a favorite matchup of many folks. So excited for that.
Yeah, let me just see if I can.
Yeah, it's all generally with that you just have to like log out and back in, and it should fix it.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing that now. But yeah, I think this should be a good matchup. Deepu, like I said, he had that really strong run. It feels like just the general level of Code A went up a little bit though since then. So everyone's gotten a little bit better, and obviously Gray, he started out in Code A, but he's rapidly hitting that point where it's like he's probably going to be Code S next season, you know.
Yeah, he's doing really well, especially he's doing the right things.
Yeah.
So here we go, guys.
Yeah, he's doing the things you need to do to improve. I mean, heck, next season it could be Gray Veils in the finals of Code S or something at this rate. So we'll see. But we're hopping in the game.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
Alrighty, spawning in the upper left-hand side, we've got the pink Terran player. He is
Deepu.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side, we got the orange Zerg player. He is
Gray.
Okay. So yeah, Cosmic Sapphire, a relatively calm map. It's got some interesting rock positions and things that you can mess with. It does have the watchtower as well that you can take advantage of, which is a pretty useful one because a lot of pushes like to go through that area. A couple gold bases on the corners as well, but a relatively standard macro-ish focused map. So you have the SCV coming across the map. Is he going to do an eBay block? It looks like he's thinking about it. Well, actually, I guess it's not that he's early enough for an eBay block. It's that Gray took a late expo. And we'll just take the base at the third, which I do like as well. Double barracks out of Deepu. I do wonder if Deepu realizes that it is, in fact, a spawning pool first. His SCV has not actually gone up into the main base. It's just kind of chilling there on the low ground. It looks almost like a position like he's wanting to build a, like a bunker there or something. But without there being a base in front of it, the bunker wouldn't be doing too much. And indeed, there we go. It's going to be a bunker. A little bit of a bunker rush as Gray looking to take a quick third base. Won't quite see the bunker. So the Reapers will be able to be a bit of a pain with that. This Deepu's adding on a third Rax. Sort of like the same build Vales did. Vales obviously a little bit cleaner, but that's, you know, Code S versus Code A in this case. So Reapers coming across the map. Gray does already have 4 lings being made. He's got a queen out. He's adding on another queen. And, I mean, it's not like he needs to deal with this bunker imminently. He can just mine from the third. It's not like the Reapers are going to kill that natural base particularly quickly. That said, it is going to be a bit of a pain.
Careful,
and just because you don't need to defend something doesn't mean that the players are going to feel a lot of pressure to defend something and think that they have to defend it. Absolutely. So you do have a Roach Warren coming down for Gray, who has sort of seen what's going on. So I do like that move as well. Would maybe like to see Ling speed on the way out, as that queen at the third base is going to die pretty quickly. Oh, never mind. There are 2 queens. Okay, so that'll help. He is making spines as well, mimicking Dark Menace's build a little bit. Whether or not that's a meaning to do so, or he's just happening to do the same build, who knows? The world may never know, indeed. Except when we ask at the end of the series, probably, as we have, interestingly enough, an engineering bay already out for Deepu as well, who is just chipping away at that natural base. And obviously, the hatchery has, what, 1 or 2 base armor, so Reapers really don't do very much against it. But it's the thought that counts. Is there even a jump spot in the mid base? There is, okay, but it's not a very convenient jump spot for Reapering. Reaper's pulling it in and out. Oh no, Gray, don't reposition the spine yet. It's not time for that yet, my boy. As will maybe wind up losing both queens. Nope, not quite. Gray does not manage to clean those, or Deepu does not manage to clean those out just yet. Oh, but Gray, he's trying to mine from the natural, hasn't realized about that bunker just yet, I don't think. And falling apart a little bit here to this cheese by Deepu, who is continuing to bring in more and more. Oh no, you can transfuse. Uh-oh. Oh, he's going to lose both queens. Had a transfuse on one of them. Well, actually just 1 queen, but the other one isn't going to be useful for too much yet. As we have 6 roaches on the way out, but Deepu expanding himself, adding on more and more Reapers, and may even be able to kill that natural base. Might even be able to kill the roaches as they pop out here. As just a little bit late on the defensive units here is Gray. And okay, the Reaper does have 5 armor when it's, or the Ravager has 5 armor when it's morphing, which is pretty good. Oh, he stops shooting it right as he's about to kill it too. There we go. Does manage to clean that out, but loses so many of the Reapers in the process. I think if he just targeted the roaches, he would have been in a fine spot, but as it is, not such a fine spot, no mo. And does lose even another Reaper. He's still got a few, but lots of roaches out now as well. Some Ravagers even done now too, and can make more of those to bile down that bunker over time. And indeed he will. Bile does go down on the bunker. Looks like there will be a cancel though out of Deepu on that one Ravager that was morphing. Gray got to be a little careful. His units are starting to run low on health. As, oh, it does turn around to shoot the Ravager, does Deepu, which means the other Ravager, well, would have been able to get a lot done, but walked down a little too low onto the low ground, and does wind up taking some significant damage and dying to the Reapers. Reapers continuing to shoot away at those drones. Very nice for Deepu. Still, though, Gray, I think, in a pretty good spot coming out of this. All right. Has continued making drones, so he's going to go up to over 30 in just a moment. Has some queens out. Does have his third base fully finished. And up in workers on Deepu, who does only have 2 command centers, not 3 like Vales did. So overall, a better position for Gray than I think it was for Dark Menace. Little coffee break, you know. They're all showing each other their business cards. As we do have 3 more Reapers sharking around. Some creep spread starting out for Gray.
Mineral field depleted.
Yeah, just continuing to make more and more drones. Adding on some Lings now that he has Ling speed to help chase down any lingering Reapers. Now, it's going to be a fairly large 4 racks bio push with some tanks and medevacs for Deepu here. So Gray's going to have to watch out for that. Baneling Nest is on the way, though, and he does already have a couple Ravagers, which is very, very handy to have. By a couple, I mean one. Hydra Den now on the way as well. I think maybe stretching his economy a little thin going into that tech at this timing. I think you'd prefer to have upgrades coming in, which he's also doing, I guess. So there's that. But I worry he doesn't have a... It's like, you know, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, that turn of phrase. It's kind of like that, but his eyes are bigger than his bank. As he's making a little bit too many things at once, I think. Should maybe still be able to defend. It's definitely a question mark, though. If he had more Ravagers done, I would say, yeah, he can defend this. As it is, it's a little bit more of a question mark. No Bane speed either. Good cleanup on the creep by Deepu. But the tank's not moving up with the rest of the bio, which means Banelings do get some nice hits down as well. Good jump on top by Gray, but now the Banelings. Gotta be careful there. Banelings did start to run into the tank, but turns out all right. And I think Gray's going to clean up pretty handily here. As yes, indeed, he does. So good for Gray now. He is stabilized on 3 bases, I would say. He's got the Hydra Den. He is not making upgrades just yet, but he can. He has that ability. Will he exercise his constitutional rights to make upgrades? We'll see. So we do have some more creep chambers coming down, which I do like. Hydra Den, of course, finished up. No Hydras out just yet because he was busy defending the push, understandably. But 4th base coming in as well. Still only 2 bases for Deepu, which is not a lot of economy to work with. He's going to move out to take a 3rd base, but that's definitely a little later than you'd probably want it to be as Deepu. But obviously he's making a big push and hoping for the best with it. So that's just sort of the trade-off you get. Muscular Augments on the way for Hydralisks. Yes, I know the upgrade names. I'm very cool. As we have Centrifugal Hooks on the way for the Banelings. And +1 armor. Should see +1 melee in the near future as well. Now, I can see this drop going quite poorly if the Hydras manage to target the medevacs, but obviously they are not in position for it, so for the moment it should be able to get something done. A decent amount done, that is. Oh, but the Hydra's very quickly on top of it. Gray, he's too fast. Oh, but going into the main base, but there's 3 Hydras already there. Oh, he's dodging the Matrix bullets like Neo are these medevacs. Should be able to narrowly make it out, but there are some queens up to the north as well. Will Gray react quickly enough, or will Deepu be able to get some damage done at this 4th base? Does manage to unload fully now, as the Lings are trickling in and dying ever so quickly. Queens, though, targeting the medevacs. Excellent target fire out of Gray here. Does manage to clean up 2 of the medevacs, and I guess the 3rd as well, adding insult to injury and victory to victory. We do have +1 ranged, Hydralisk's grooved spines upgrade to the range, and armor going to be finishing up very soon as well. Roach speed even coming in, because why not? As it looks like maybe Gray's thinking about doing an Overlord like Baneling drop. That'd be cool. I don't think he has Overlord speed, but 4 Lings in Overlord, you know, the idea's there. Well, it's at least there in my head. I don't know if it's there in Gray's head, but it's there in my head, which is the important head, I would argue. Now, creep spread looking pretty strong for Gray. 71 workers to 47. So also looking pretty good there, and up in army supplies, so it's all Zerg all day for the moment. Now, the big problem is Gray isn't making very many Banelings or Lings. He's basically just making Hydras, which isn't actually a good composition, generally speaking. You really want Banelings and Lings. Just Hydras, no bueno. No goodo, as you could even say. The Hydras, yeah, having to pull back now. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. 32 Lings. I'm not sure if he thought he had Lings or if... I don't know. But, well, he's still doing pretty well, as Deepu did not move his tanks forward to support that push. Now, up come the tanks. And out go the biles. In come the lings. Surround up all the bio. I don't know. Well, maybe. It might. We're hoping it will. If you're a Zerg player, I guess. Gray, specifically, is probably hoping for that, I would imagine. Now, the problem is Gray is not setting up for a surround on this army. He's just setting up for a run straight in and attack, which is not the greatest, but it's doing okay for the moment. Does get on top of the tanks for the most part. Here come the Banelings. Here we are, behind the Hydras, where we'll be most effective, he says. Or the Banelings say. It does manage to clean up that army, and it's still up 33 supply. So pretty nice, but definitely not the cleanest fights out of Gray. But what we've come to expect from him isn't necessarily the most heavily microed fights, but the solid macro, and that is indeed what we're seeing for the most part. Making more Lings, making more Banes. Here comes a tank. Yummy. That one Hydra wants it all to himself, but the rest of the Zerglings say no. I want in on that action. And they get in on that action. We do have +2 range on the way as well. I'm a little surprised we aren't seeing a Lurker Den with all these Hydra-focused upgrades and so many Hydras out on the map, as we do still have 11. He did lose quite a number of them. 16 Hydras already going down, which is, of course, quite expensive. Of course, 17 Reapers, 83 Marines, 6 tanks, and 9 Marauders. And 5 Medevacs is also kind of expensive. So, actually, we do have Gray out-trading the Terran, as well as out-economying the Terran, who is going up to 5 bases now, which is good to see. But a little bit slow on going up to 5 bases, as Gray has been there, done that. And is probably thinking 6th base in his head in the near future. Hive on the way for Gray as well. He's taking a couple macro hatcheries. I do like that. Let me tell you, no complaints there. No complaints there. As we do have scans coming down everywhere. That's like 6 mules. That's like 2,000 minerals. But he does know where his opponent's army is. The problem is, I don't think he can beat his opponent's army. So knowing where it is only somewhat useful. Is adding on more barracks, though, and stabilizing a little bit. He's got an even army supply on his opponent now. He is adding on more and more workers as time goes on, and does have a triple drop that is thinking about moving out in the near future. That said, the upgrades are looking not great for Deepu. He's starting +2 attack, but he has 0 armor upgrades currently against the soon-to-be 2-2-1 of Gray, which is suboptimal, as big Zerg army in your face. Half of your army is in 3 medevacs going across the map. So this is not looking great for Deepu, as his tanks will fall as well. And down goes the bio army to the drop. Is looking to go in and get some damage, but yeah, GG will be called. Okay, so Gray does manage to take it down. Like we said, Gray, a very strong code AM competitor. He's one of those people that's gotten a lot better over time, just throughout this one season of the Code A. And we'll likely see a Code S run from him next season. And we will be heading into map number 2, which will be Data C, which is a very nice map. I do like Data C. It's a good map. Good job, map makers. You really outdid yourselves with that one. So we are loading up the lobby and everything. Yeah, I could definitely see Deepu holding his own against Gray. Gray's engagements, like I said, aren't the best. If there were more tanks in position on that push outside the 4th base, I could definitely see it going another way. As the players are ready, we're going to load into game. It's going to be Data C, as we do have Gray up 1-0.
watching FSL Season 6.
All right, in the bottom left-hand side, we've got the orange Zerg player. He is. So he's got one little drone not doing its job. There we go. It does fix it. And in the upper right-hand side, we got the pink, also Zerg player. He is.
Deepu.
All right. So it's going to be a 12 pool, probably drone pull out of Deepu. I remember I may have told this story, but I'm going to tell it again just in case I didn't. And even if I did, it's a good story. But a couple months ago, I was playing and I'd lost to 12 pool drone pull several times. And I thought, you know what? I need to learn how to beat this. And so I got matched up against a player who was like 800 MMR above me and who was a Zerg. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it to him. He'll beat me and I'll learn how to beat it. And I absolutely annihilated him and got like 30 or 40 MMR. So that didn't work. Still searching for the solution. Nonetheless, we have the links coming out for Deepu here as, I mean, maybe it will just be a regular old 12 pull. If it's a drone pull, I could see it winning. If it's not, I don't know. Because Gray went for a pull first, it's a little rough. Okay, it is a drone pull. Still, I mean, it is a pull first out of Gray, which is not optimal. Obviously, if you're Deepu at least. You want to have your lings out well before their lings and their queens. That said, Gray hasn't really made very many lings when he goes for his pull first. And Deepu did, so who knows? Yeah, Gray's even looking to take a third base. Oh no. Is that narrowly missed? Or got narrowly missed there. Yeah, first two lings now starting up as here comes the spines. Here comes the spines. All stabby and mean. And the queen goes down as well. Oh. No. Okay, I think this is just game. Gray doesn't have anywhere near enough stuff. He's not making his own spines because he made a third base. And yeah. Ouch. Ouchie wawa. That's going to be game. If it wasn't obvious, we're going to have a 1-1 score. Okay, so we will head somewhat directly into the final game of the series on Inside and Out, the decider match. As, yeah, the 12 pool drone pull is a brutal build to defend. Very, very difficult. And unfortunately, not seeing it far enough in advance. I mean, if he sees it, he can just make a spine because he did go pull first, but unfortunately did not see it, and so that's not exactly an option in that case. All right, so we are loading up. It's going to be Inside and Out for the final game. A little bit shorter of a map. Has some aggressive potential. We'll have to see what race Deepu opts to play, as he does have the capability to play with all three. And obviously Zerg worked out pretty well for him there, but it looks like he's thinking Protoss for this final game. So we're going to get one of each from him in this series. Will Protoss be a Zerg for him, or will Protoss be a Terran, if you know what I mean, is the real question. So we are loading into game.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
And we are loading in to the bottom left-hand side of Inside and Out. We have the pink Protoss player. He is. And And his opponent in the upper right, we got the orange Zerg saying, I can do it too. It is. Now, it shouldn't be a drone pull. I'll tell you that much. That would be bad if it was a drone pull. But we'll see, as it is a 12 pull. Drone pull not as effective against Protoss, notably. Particularly a Protoss going for a gateway. Or a Forge, actually. Forge is probably even more effective against this. But 12 pull is a very strong build in general. We've seen Gray pull it out before. Not sure if it was against Protoss, but he has pulled it out before, as this wall is bullish, I think, as they say. Or is it bearish? Bearish? I don't know. It's not great. It's not looking too hot. If I were Nathanius, I'd put money that that's not a good wall, but then I'd not actually put money, you know? As 8-lings being made and coming across the map. And should see a Cybercore coming in soon as well. Probably. But should be a hold, even so. Probably? I mean, you do eventually want adepts, but even just 2 or 3 zealots should be, like, enough, I'd imagine. Oh, get back in position! Oh, no. I think this is actually maybe just game. Yeah. That chrono should have happened a little sooner, I think. Zealot is fighting his heart out, but Gray's not really sure what to target. Oh man, the Lings, they're stacking up. They are not wanting to behave today, these Zerglings, I tell you what. These little rascals. As I think Gray might just, continue targeting the pylon, which means maybe one more Zealot makes it out! Just barely does, which should be enough to maybe win this fight narrowly, but at the same time, nothing else is happening for Deepu at the moment, whereas Gray is droning up. And expanding his economy. Deepu hasn't expanded yet, unfortunately, but does now have a wall. And will have an adept in the somewhat near future as well, so a hold, but a painful one. Oh man, in come the Lings and clean up another Zealot. So pretty nice for Gray overall. Gonna continue making drones now, I think. And Deepu now wants to kind of go across the map with his stuff, which makes sense because his economy is not looking too hot. Does make a Nexus now, so that does help. Is sending a single Zealot across to try and get an idea for what's going on, but Gray is in a pretty good spot now. For sure. That's what 12 pool does for you. Oh yeah, that's what it do. Unfortunately, I think if Deepu had just chronoed that one Zealot, he'd be in a much better spot, but he chronoed it a little late, so it didn't make it out in time. Also could have made a pylon with the probe before it died. That's another thing that you can do. But not quite able to. Not in time. So you do have a Twilight coming down. He's moving out with a little skirmishing force. But I think Gray can just kind of reactively make Lings when he sees that, and should be fine. And Deepu kind of agrees, and just goes back across the map. Which is the way to go, I would say. Does clean up another Ling. Natural base is finishing out, but it's 37 workers to 24, which is a brutal deficit to be at as the Protoss. Of course, he does find 2 Overlords just kind of chilling. The Overlords are now back to chilling. They got tickled a little bit, had a little tickle fight, and now they're back to being best buds, I guess. So that's good. Just some Happy little overlords. Ling speed starts up. A little behind schedule, but should be fine. 26 Lings being made, a spine as well. Gray definitely appears to be somewhat worried. I mean, he's got spotters on the third bases for Deepu, so he's basically just saying, you know, I've got a good amount of workers. I know you made 3 gateways at the front, and you're probably in a pretty desperate position economically. So I'm just going to anticipate that you're attacking me. He's also seeing all these units get warped in. There's just an Overlord chilling there. I don't think he quite sees the Overlord except when his probes rally through. Yeah, he doesn't see it unless the probes are looking at it. So he's not actually fully aware that that's there. But it's seeing all the units. So, oh wow, he's even making an Archon. And this is a new balance patch, I think. So that Archon can make it through wall gaps. You go, little guy. You go. In comes a couple Lings from Gray, scouting as well. And yeah, it's going to be Charge Lot Archon all in, basically. Although Robo's starting up now, so it's like he's wanting to make maybe a Warp Prism to go across with. But I feel like if you wait for the Warp Prism to go across, it's going to be too late. As there's already Roaches coming out. Gray's starting to think about Hydras, which probably just want to stick with Roach Ling. Ravager Ling Bane, maybe. For the moment, against this kind of composition. But I think he's far enough ahead that he can probably get away with Hydralisks as well. So, he's got options. He really does. Lots of gas income, lots of roaches coming out. And here comes Deepu now, who is starting up Warp Prisms. Yeah, waiting for that Warp Prism, I don't know, I think it's just going to be too late to really get much accomplished because you had to wait for the Warp Prism, right? So, a little bit tough, but technically still does have a chance. He's down 20 army supply, though. And Gray is aware of what's happening, I think, so he's even making some Ravengers. Well, Zealots do get right up on top of the Zerg underbelly. But yeah, I think there's just too many Roaches. Without Immortals in this comp, Roaches just hit a critical mass eventually where there's too many of them, and they're too tough and too handsome. And so that happens, unfortunately, at a certain point. Is trying to set up for a little charge lot run by, but Gray's just up double the workers, basically. Up 50% in army supply. Storm is coming in for Deepu, which is a nice ability. I've heard good things.
Mineral field exhausted.
One of the best. People are telling me it's one of the best upgrades possibly ever. Lings do come in to the main base of Deepu, as the wall-off is not fully a wall-off just yet. Will force a pull-off from mining, and a Zealot warp in, but no big deal. Actually, winds up getting his Overlord killed in so doing this. Poor Overlord. He was an innocent bystander. This one Ling is doing things still. How many kills is it gonna get? None. Very close to getting 1 or 2, but it winds up being none. A valiant effort from the Ling nonetheless, though. Very impressive. Storm is finishing up. We've got Hydras now coming out. Tunneling Claws? Does he have Burrow? He doesn't have Burrow, but he has Tunneling Claws now. So that works as well. I am a little bit of an artisan, some say, when it comes to Tunneling Claw roaches. Used to be my big thing. So I can respect it. Personally would recommend making the Burrow along with the Tunneling Claws, but I think it's a power play. You know, it's like a power move. Or maybe it's just because he likes how they look. They do look a lot cooler with Tunneling Claws. I mean, look at those little crystals. Very cool. Adding on a Lurker Den as well. It is a little scary trying to push up into the natural base of the Protoss who has Storms, so I can't particularly blame him. Big Storms. However, there's just so much army for Gray and so not as much army for Deepu that I'm not sure it matters much. And Gray is looking more and more poised to take a nice 2-1 victory here. As Deepu's Sharkin, though, he's looking for damage options. And does get a decently sized storm. Gray just biled his own lurker. So, you know, it happens. It happens to the best. Gray, a thoroughly cowed Zerg player, runs back from 2 Archons with a maxed out almost Zerg army. I've been there. As a big Ling run by as well. I'd almost like to see him just try and jump onto these High Templar and fight. As the storms aren't the big strength that Deepu has remaining in his army right now. But even more damage coming in from the Lings. No Adrenal or anything, but yeah, GG will be. The valiant effort from Deepu did take that game number 2. Unfortunately, the 12 pool just doing a lot of damage. And,
all right, they're here. Let's go chit chat with them.
Yeah, so congratulations to Gray winning it 2-1. And a good attempt out of Deepu. Let's talk a little bit. Game 1. I guess the Marine tank push kind of got shut down. It was a decent early game, I think, with the Reapers, but then once the Marine tank push kind of got pushed back, I never really managed to find a good aggressive footing from there. And obviously Gray over time, once he got more and more into his kind of comfort zone of big amount of workers and lots of Ling Bane, did manage to eventually overrun. Was there anything in particular that you felt went kind of wrong there for you that wound up tipping the game into his favor?
I think I was just fumbling around with my hotkeys for a bit too long. And then, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty much that, yeah. Just...
Fair enough. And then game number 2, obviously pulling out the build, the 12 pool drone pull. A very, very, very strong build. Executed pretty well. I think obviously Gray going for the quick third base didn't help his chances there. But was there a particular reason you opted for that build? Just because it's very strong, or anything about the way Gray played other games that made you want to opt for that?
I mean, it's kind of was that. Like, I thought he was going to go for the third base, or at least since that's what he did in the first game. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's just wasn't feeling comfortable with much else. So I was like, all right, I'll just go for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And then game number 3, I think the 12 pool just catching you a little off guard. Barely didn't get the Zealot out. And, you know, from there, kind of got steamrolled a little bit. Yeah. Got the momentum going on his side. So, not too much to say about that game. Good storms, though, I will say. Well done on that.
Thank you.
And then Gray. So, game 1, obviously. Have you faced that kind of Reaper 3 racks build in the past much, or is that
in the past? In ladder, there's a lot of people doing that. So I usually opt to go for roaches, and then switch back to whatever counter he's trying to counter what he's gonna build next. If he's gonna transition for battle cruisers, then I'll go for roach, and then what do you call that flying thing? What was that? Yeah, basically, I'm trying to just survive the first few minutes with few roaches, and then maximize the workers I can go for without dying.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seemed to work out for you there. You swapped into the units again at the right timing, right? So you had the army you needed to defend against the Marine tank and everything, and then from there, I think kind of back into more of a standard game. And game number 2, obviously, the 12 food drone pull.
So I forgot that Deepu was the build I made. It's 17 hatch. I copied it from, what was that? No, it's not Vibe. It's Pig. The one who does the B2GM series. So I copied the 17 pool, 17 hatch, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. In any case, any cheeses comes up. What I didn't know is, or at least I don't have in mine is that Deepu can change race. So that's I didn't notice that he changed to Zerg.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then game 3, obviously, I think the 12 pool just put you in a pretty great spot. Did you feel pretty good coming out of the 12 pool, or were you a bit worried?
So my 12 pool is always like it's not 13, 12 or anything like all in. So it's just really more for me to be able to macro while they because again I think 8 p.m. is or attention is resource. So if I have a little bit more of the attention I need to micro the links to make workers and everything, then I'll try to use my edge on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. KJ, did you have any questions for our players?
Yeah, Deepu. You know what's interesting is I learned something from ET today that when the Ravagers are being morphed,
Oh yeah, I found out that today. The armor, right?
It has a lot of armor and you can't kill it. And you switch targets. If you had
Yeah.
shot the roaches, I think you would have snowballed and won in game 1, right? So, but
Yeah,
unfortunately, you switched switched to those morphing things because you had what did he have? ET. He had like 6. He could have easily
Like 6
killed
or
the other one.
7. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Reapers do like 1 or 2 damage per shot
Yeah, nothing.
to the Ravager morphs. Banelings have only like 1 or 2 armor, I think, when they're morphing, but Ravagers have like a lot more. So
Yeah, I didn't
against
even
those,
know
it's a
that.
lot
So
Yeah, I
that was
never
kind
I
of
didn't know
cool.
either.
I was like, oh, well, that's something new I learned. But anyway, you were that close to winning game 1. So that was pretty interesting. And then game 3, um, well, I guess you just kind of, you saw the 12 pool, and you did the right things instead of. But then you made a third gateway, which is something new, right? So I don't know. I think if you were able to get all those zealots out and send it out on the counter, that would have been very scary for him because all he wants to do is drone. At least that's what he said. So, pretty interesting games. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Nice job, guys. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
very well
TM.
done overall. GG's.
All right, GG's.
GG's. Thank you.
All right, ET, we got our big one now.
Yeah, well, another big one.
Save the best
it's hard
for
to
last.
say which one I was more hyped for. Was
yeah, that's true.
Dark Menace and Veils or Instability and Dark Menace? Because Instability and Dark Menace, I think we've seen them twice now. Instability took, I think, first season she took a game off Dark Menace, and then the second season she 2-0'd him.
Yeah.
So will we see Dark Menace manage to retake the lead? Or will Instability take the lead in series against him for like the first time ever?
Yep.
It'll be cool to see. They've always had some pretty epic games. Some hijinks. Yeah, let's bring them in.
Let's bring in. So.
Hello to our players. We've got Instability and Dark Menace joining us here. Instability. This is obviously not the first or even the second time you're facing Dark Menace. How are you feeling about your chances today relative to previous times you've run into him?
Probably not as good as the previous time since they went pretty well. But I don't really mind that much because with the way things are recently, I probably couldn't handle the playoffs very well.
Fair enough. Yeah, with the lag and everything. Well, hopefully that'll get ironed out in the near future. But Dark Menace, how are you feeling? Obviously, I think the last time y'all met, it did go Instability's way. Are you feeling more confident to get your revenge?
I mean, it's always good when the enemy's not very confident, but like, yeah.
While you guys do that, make sure you guys are vetoing, because we had to reset that. There was a problem with the old one, so re-veto, please.
Yeah.
So we'll show that on screen.
I think it is vetoed, isn't it? Or is this one broken again? It looks right.
I don't.
Tropical Stargazer's Data C is what I'm seeing.
Refresh your screen. That's the old one. That one is apparently those were the wrong maps. So.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, go back to the original list, a new list, and then click on the new
one.
Oh
yeah, I
started the vetoes yet.
Anyways, yeah. So I think I was talking to KJ. I think it was Instability. You you were the first person to take a game off Dark Menace in the first time you guys played in your first Code S. And then the second time you guys met, you did beat him 2-0, I believe it was. So, it's now tied. So we got to see who manages to get the tiebreaker. So obviously an important series, not just for your potential results in the playoffs, but also for that just your personal results against each other. Do you guys view each other as rivals at all? I think originally there was kind of that rivalry that was built up a little bit because it was like who's the person who gets to go and challenge Neutrophil for the top? Is there still that kind of rivalry between you, or has that sort of faded away?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, I don't remember that being a thing.
Very well. Maybe that was all caster hype. But, I mean, we got to do something, What can I say? Well, now that you know, make sure to have lots of good rivalry moments. All good, clean fun and whatnot. But, KJ, any final questions? It looks like we do have the vetoes finished up.
No final questions. Good luck to you both.
Yep, good luck.
Jeff.
All right, we got the players muted and deafened up. So we can go ahead and get into the series. It's going to be Data C to start, followed by Tropical Sacrifice, and then Cosmic Sapphire to finish things off.
Yeah, I suppose she won't have her camera on this one, because her internet.
Yep,
Yep.
the
Alright,
curse of the internet. Now, Data C, we've seen in all the 1v1s we've done so far, so nothing new there. But a good map nonetheless. Obviously, this is going to be a PVZ. The previous two 1v1s we saw were TVZs, and these guys have always gone kind of the distance as far as each game is concerned, There's usually carriers out and a late game Zerg army and things like that. So I'll be curious to see if that trend continues into this series or if someone's going to try and end it a little bit earlier than previous seasons this time around. But yeah, it should be exciting overall. So we just got to get instability into game and we'll be able to take off. Up, and away and all that. But yeah, so we'll have Data C. Then we'll follow it up with Tropical Sacrifice. And then Cosmic Sapphire to close things out. And we are loading into game here. Number 1. Alright, we're loading in the bottom left-hand side of Data C. We've got the red Protoss player. She is. And in the upper right, we got the pink Zerg. He is.
Dark Menace.
Hey, what can I say, man? They, you gotta build these rivalries for these kids these days. They don't know how to make them themselves. What can I say, We need this is our Idra Huck, in development. Hopefully with slightly less swearing this time around. All right. We do have base coming down for Dark Menace and Probe coming across for Instability, who did make her gateway, of course. No Forge or anything. Big sad. Would love to see a cannon rush. But oh well. As forgot to ask the players about their preparation, but that's because usually the answer is, yeah, I played like one game a month ago. And then I looked at the ladder tonight and thought about it a little bit. But who knows? Maybe they prepped a little bit more this time around. We'll see. Well, I guess we can't really see, but we'll see how well they play. Obviously, they both had a chance to warm up tonight against some pretty tough opponents. Neither of them winning the series that they played earlier tonight, so maybe both of them looking to get a win on the board for the night. Although Instability is sounding a little nihilistic about her chances. I think the internet's gotten gradually worse over the last few months, unfortunately. So the only thing worse than having bad internet is once upon a time having good internet and then having bad internet, because you know what you're missing, you know? So there is that. But instability, she's coming up. Is she going to block the third? Nope. She thought about it, I think, but not going to end up blocking it. Is going to check and verify that it's being taken, and we're going to see those delayed lings out of Dark Menace. I do like that since he got the third base down for free. Obviously, the only real purpose of the lings being made immediately is to make sure that you get that third base down before the adept makes it across the map. If you do that, then you don't need lings until there is an adept across the map, which is like almost a minute later. Or never, if the Protoss doesn't opt to move across the map, which can happen as well. See if it happens in this game, but it can happen. Stargate on the way for instability as well. Is that Overlord sitting up on his, not quite pillar, but you know, little squiggly. His squiggly, the Overlord squiggly. I never quite got why Reaper jump spots have to exist, but then the Terran players in the same breath get mad that Overlord pillars exist. I have to be able to scout, but you don't deserve it. It's like, I think both should exist. What about that? That's just, oh well. But you know, it's okay. As the Stargate has finished up, will we see a Stargate unit though? Is the real question. There we go. Void Ray on the way. Old school. I feel like building a Void Ray is like so 1993 or something. Or 2019 through 2021, somewhere in that range. The Void Ray meta. Ling speed does finish up. And Lair on the way now. We got a Sentry coming in for instability as well. So that Void Ray approaching completion. She's got a third gas very quickly. This feels like she's plotting it all in. You know, you take the third gas that the Overlord can't see. You rush out a Void Ray to deal with the Overlord, and then you drop a Twilight Council and go into charge or something, you know? And Sentry as well. It all reads kind of strangely. That quick third gas, but not a quick fourth gas. There we go. Finally, the fourth gas, 4:15-ish. Dark Menace is trying to run the Overlord, but he'll never escape. Or maybe he will. Nope, he's dead. Okay. Creep spread moving out for Dark Menace. Third base looking to come down for instability, so not some two base all in, it looks like. As instabilities, adepts move out to defend that third as well. Dark Menace retreats back home, knowing the information he was looking for. There's another Void Ray on the way. Now this is where things get kind of weird. A rush to Sky Toss, perhaps, out of instability. As Dark Menace going very quickly for a Lair and a Hydroden. I guess we are playing on new patch, just old maps, right? So Hydras do have their buff, which is just a movement speed buff, I believe, and something about... No, range swap was Ultralisks. Anyways, Hydralisks are buffed, which they were already pretty good against Void Rays, and Void Rays have gotten nerfed of late. Hydras have gotten buffed, so that's a little concerning, as we do have probably a pause-worthy amount of lag
Game
here.
paused.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting to see Void Rays out at this point already. I think I'm the only person who can actually communicate with the players. As just waiting for instabilities. Internet to calm down. Cha-king. That'd be kind of unfortunate. What does timed out mean in fractions? What about your Control Alt FP? Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for the delay. We're just trying to make sure our players have survivable amounts of lag. 94 is not terrible. Oh, 400 is pretty terrible, actually. Perhaps we could throw it to a quick break while we figure out if this is going to be able to continue.
Good idea. We'll be back for a break, guys.
Alex, I just heard that, I think it's your dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you just mentioned that apparently you like watching my videos. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Instability, Stu Blue, and Neutrophil. Good luck in the FSL. Protoss Power.
Hello, Meadow. Thank you for being my fan. I hope you can keep cheer for me and have a nice day with StarCraft.
For you, Meadow.
Hello, Meta. Keep playing StarCraft 2. Hope you enjoy the game.
Hey, Dark Man, keep playing Turk. It's fun and hopefully you'll get some good results. I'm cheering for you.
Him out of there pretty much for free. Of course, one Ghost still in there, dropping another nuke. Not as many SCVs here. Basically just bullying Hyper Turtle at this point. Already took out his med mineral line.
He's gonna lose the other ones too.
And kaboom!
Boom, baby!
Does go down. Yeah, I mean, Hyper Turtle.
Hyper Turtle is probably hyper pissed off right now.
Yeah, no
hyper
kidding.
Angry.
Goodness gracious. As they are moving across the map now, that is a significant force out of blue team. Definitely could still get a lot done here. Steepu dropping some additional pylons for Warpins, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the Terran coming out as well. Void Ray's coming out for Team Red, though.
I saw the Void Ray speed in production as well, and I also believe I saw Spire in production. So we'll see if you know, losing that base.
Okay, one moment.
Still a lot. Oh no, that was actually the other player. So.
Yeah, I think Instability has Aspire, but has lost a lot of Overlords that were out on the map, so has been hyper supply blocked since the last couple minutes, really, since the Aspire push up. Actually does come in with Mutalisk, but as a Protoss player, didn't quite understand that that's not how that works. Void Rays do come in, they got a good high ground position, but this is a big army out of the blue team here, pushing in. Sidestorm drops on mostly buildings, but still nice to have. And man, a big aggressive swell. Beautiful to see here. A nuke does start.
Oh my god.
If that nuke lands, it could change the whole direction of this game, and it's coming close.
Oh my god.
Just a couple moments, and here it comes. The nuke will land.
The blink at the last second was incredible there too, but still a lot of units went down. Like the bio got erased. Holy crap, this might actually be holdable just off of that nuke.
Yeah, that was so much damage coming down. Gonna try again. Of course, there's not very many units besides Ghosts, so if the nukes don't land, there's not a whole lot to be done.
But
Definitely
Instability
nice
has quite
out
a
of the
few
way.
units here. Right at the top, they've been waiting at the top of the ramp, and honestly,
another big nuke
scary.
gonna land.
Well, this doesn't look good.
I can't.
Yeah, maybe to just postpone it, then let's just do that
Yeah.
for the integrity of the important
That was
match
incredible
here. So.
out of Neutrophil there. Those nukes coming in.
All right, guys.
However, Instability could just.
I guess let's
spin
wrap
that
up. Let's just talk about what happened tonight then.
Yeah, sorry for the bait and switch, I suppose, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we can go over the results and
let's hop back on camera. All right, Dark Menace. We'll see you next time.
yeah, let's see. Oh,
All
he's still
right.
doing nothing. Okay, Dark Minutes, we're going to go ahead and rain check it, and we will see you guys back later. Just making sure you're both awake, I guess, is all.
Yep.
So thank you very much. All right, so we'll talk about the games, ladies and gents, that we did experience today, with some cool results happening. Vales finally dropping, at least as far as I could see, his first map against Dark Menace, as Dark Menace did manage to go 1-2. But Vales did clean that up, which means Vales has now had a perfect season, I believe, insofar as match score goes, dropping one map and winning every other match 2-0, putting him at, what is it? It's like 8-0 or 7-0? 8-0, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
So, because there's 9 players, so
Yeah,
8-0 with a 16-1 map score.
That's my prediction, man, from the beginning. The minute I saw the way he moved, I said, dude, you're going to win the whole thing. So these kids need to play. I say kids because the top 3 are kids. They need to play and practice if they want to win.
Yeah, it's funny. I almost feel like it was like Neutrophil was getting too good to where it was like, is he even going to be able to keep playing in the Code S? So it's like, if he practiced a lot, he probably would just skill out, because he was hitting Masters and everything. Around the time Instability started playing in the Code S. So it's a little tough to balance that, I suppose. But anyways, we had that followed up by Polaris going up against Mistaffusion, Instability, and Taiga or Caliber C against Neutrophil and Megala. Very, very exciting. One of my favorite 2v2 games in game number 1. That was just insane, massive battles of just like 50 Marines charging into Storm.
Indeed.
And barriers and Tempests, and a pretty cool DT build in game 2. In game 3, just a good adjustment out of Megala, adding on, as she said, one of her favorite units, Colossi, to be able to deal with the Marines. So very cool there. Surprised me. I mean, I did predict 2-1 for Polaris, so an upset in my mind, at least. And then we closed it out with Gray and Deepu. Deepu did manage to get a sneaky win with the 12-pool drone pull, but overall, very, very good builds out of Gray. I do like it that he throws in the 12-pool occasionally. Usually winds up working out well for him, but also doesn't do it every game, so you can't just plan for it, right?
Yep. So yeah, look at the results here. Code S, like you said, it's not updated, so I guess it's hard to look at this, but we can deduce here. 8-0 for Vales. Dark Menace gets his first loss, 5-1.
Yeah, first loss. Instability, I think that's her 3rd series loss, correct? 4th? I think it's just 3rd.
Yeah,
no,
just
4th.
3rd. Is it 4?
Has she played Neutrophil yet?
I'm looking now. So Instability, 2-0 Hurt in Time, 2-0 JMPZ.
No, never mind. Yep, I'm adding something on.
2-0 D-Less Mizel.
Ghost Chant, Neutrophil, and Vales she's lost to. And then, so I guess really these next 2 series she's got left against Dark Menace and Sir Maligan will decide whether or not she makes it into the playoffs, I think. A rough season for her. I definitely think she's always had the internet thing is like a thing, but I definitely feel like we've seen more like just lag spikes and timeouts and things like that for her. So the internet being more of a struggle this time around.
I'll tell you this, you better be ready for Dark Sir Maligan, because I played in some customs. He is 10 times better because he's been playing and practicing, so he could be the spoiler that we don't want. Yep.
Yeah, right now she's 3-3, which means she has 2 matches left. If she wins at least 1, I think she's guaranteed playoffs. Or no, she's guaranteed playoffs because everyone else has lost at least 5 matches.
Yeah. So
I think she's still in a decent spot though, because
she gotta make the playoffs, man.
Heads up. Yeah, it's funny because last season she was 1st place into the playoffs.
Yes.
And now this season it's a little more of a struggle. But this is definitely a tougher season with, just the introduction of Vales there, right? That's another big person to worry about. And she did also have a couple one surprise loss really against Ghost Chant. Ghost Chant playing really well that day. So, and her not quite as practiced as we've seen in previous seasons. So,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how the season closes out. We've got 4 more Code S matches, 4 more Code A matches, and then a couple Code Bs and a few 2v2s. So we'll have to see how those clean out and how the playoffs are going to look, but it's already looking to be pretty exciting. I'm very curious how Veils will do. Like, is this 8-0 performance something that's kind of kicked Neutrophil or Dark Menace into gear? And they're going to be practicing more for the playoffs, or is it going to be more just him out practicing his competition? We'll have to see.
Hey, that's true, because if you find out from these guys what they're doing, they don't really play until they have a game that day. So
yeah,
and that's the big difference. So it's like track and field. You gotta run, put in the time in, so you're in shape.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see. Maybe this will be the thing that incentivizes them to practice a bit more for the playoffs. Maybe not. But it'll be a cool playoffs nonetheless, I think. I mean, Dark Menace showed he can already pretty much go toe to toe with Veils.
Yeah,
so just a bit more practice, and maybe he can take it down.
Exactly. All right, well, that'll do it for day 31, ET. Good having you. We'll figure out the next set, and we'll see you all later. GG's, guys.
Sarah, what have you done?
Kerrigan, the die is cast. This is the last day. Your swarm darkens the sky of any planet.
Forget Minsk. Forget all of it. When we are done here, I will return to my people and accept their judgment.
Command, we've found Kerrigan. She's holed up in a Zerg base.
I made my peace long ago.
Consider it done. For ire. Indeed.
They still don't have very many units, so unless the enemy continually walks into nukes for the next 10 minutes, it's still looking pretty good for Team Blue here, who has killed all the outside bases of the red team.
Yeah, right. Those DTs were putting in a lot of work during all of that too. Definitely been super active. I did see the DT Blink researched, so they have a lot more mobility as well. But yeah, the nuke's definitely the MVP in allowing, Team ET to actually stay up in this one.
Yeah, proud of my boys for